Madam Chair, we're live.
Thank you so much. At this time, I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Baldwin Park Planning Commission. The date is July 22nd, 2026, and the time is 7:05 p.m. I would like to ask Commissioner Rodriguez to please lead us in the flag salute.
If you're able to stand, please join us. Ready?
Allegiance. Flag. United States of America. Thank you so much. Planning Secretary, can I please get roll?
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Rodriguez,
Present.
Commissioner Arias, Commissioner Peña,
Present.
Vice Chair Miranda de Zip,
Present.
Chair Escobosa.
Present.
Motion carries.
Thank you so much. Before we get going, I would like to welcome everybody to tonight's Planning Commission meeting. I see a lot of new faces. If this is your first time at a Planning Commission meeting, and you're wondering what we do, our role here is an advisory body to the City Council. We will make recommendations on the agenda items tonight. And that's it. Welcome. Okay. At this time, I'm going to declare public communications open. I do want to clarify that this is the moment for anyone who's wishing to speak on non-agenda items only. This will be your opportunity to do so. If you are wishing to speak on the agenda item tonight, we invite you to complete a speaker card and submit it to our lovely clerks. So once again, if you're wishing to speak on anything other than the agenda item.
Madam Chair, if we could have anybody on Zoom that want to speak public comments that are not on the public hearing, if they could raise their hand on Zoom.
Yes, thank you so much. So tonight we do have some attendees on Zoom. And so again, if you are wishing to speak on non-agenda items, I do invite you to raise your hand if you're on Zoom, or if you are physically present here, right now would be your opportunity to do so.
Pardon the interruption. Can we turn the mic on, please?
Oh, is your mic on? The little blue light?
There we go.
Yeah.
Good evening, Planning Commission. My name is Samuel Brown, and before the public hearing commences today, I just wanted to make note of the fact that several of the residents that are impacted by this project that will be the subject of the public hearing today.
So again, right now is the time to speak on anything other than the agenda item.
It's not on the agenda item. It's just a procedural issue that I wanted to address. I just wanted to make note for the record that while the community does appreciate that the notice was recirculated, the fact that the notice was not sent out in Spanish or Mandarin or any other language that is spoken by the non-English speaking community in Baldwin Park, that is a kind of glaring omission, and, it might be a little too late to be able to correct that at this juncture, but I just want to state for the record that language access is very important, especially in communities like Baldwin Park and Bassett. And, once again, we appreciate the notice being recirculated, but we do take some concern with the lack of language access. Thank you.
Thank you. For those of you who are newly joining us, this is the public communication part of the meeting. And so if you have anything you want to say that is not already on the agenda, right now would be your opportunity. David, Charles, do we have anybody on Zoom who's raised their hand?
We have one person on Zoom that raised their hand.
Thank you.
I'll let them allow to talk now. Hello?
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Is this the portion where I can speak about the Flanner School?
Not
No.
yet.
Okay, then I will wait till that part begins so that I can speak about it.
Thank you. I appreciate your patience.
Okay, thank you. Should I leave my hand up or lower it?
You can
If-
lower
lower
it. I'll let you know when to raise it.
Thank you.
All right, seeing no further interest at this time, I'm now going to declare public communications closed. We are going to move on to the item on the consent calendar. This item are the minute meetings for the previous planning commission, which took place July 8th, 2026. Would any of my fellow commissioners like to pull this item up for discussion? Okay. If we don't want to discuss this, can I get a motion to approve these minutes?
I'll motion to approve the minutes.
I will second.
Thank you. Secretary, can I please get roll?
Yes, Commissioner Rodriguez,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Commissioner Peña,
Yes.
Vice Chair Miranda de Zip,
Yes.
and Chair Escobosa.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you so much. All right. At this point, we are going to move on to the sole item on our agenda. This is a request for development of a 5.22 acre property for a multifamily residential project comprised of 22-story buildings and totaling 104 townhome apartment units. The project requires a general plan amendment, zone change, zone variance, design review, and administrative adjustment, as well as the adoption of the ISN MND prepared for the project in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act. This property is located at 1314 LeBourne Avenue in Baldwin Park, California. Can I please get a presentation from staff?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
The project before you is a new multi-family residential development that will be developed on a property owned by Bassett Unified School District. Next slide, please. To understand the project, one must first understand where the project is located. The project is located at the southern boundary of the city of Baldwin Park, south of the 10 freeway and near the major streets of Puente Avenue and Francisquito Avenue. Across the street from the project site, and generally to the south, is the unincorporated community of Bassett. I've included the graphic before you because it clearly shows the city boundary, but also of note are the colors shown on the map, and those represent the various zoning designations. The project area is shown in green for open space. The tan color that can be seen immediately adjacent to the site is high-density residential. Light purple to the north is that represents industrial commercial zone. Next slide, please. This slide is an aerial view of the project site and the surrounding area. The 104 two-story units that are proposed on the vacant land that is adjacent to the campus that holds the Bassett Child Development Center, a preschool, and the Bassett Unified School District Administrative Offices. This slide better shows the uses of the land that is south of the project site, which is all single-family residential. Next slide, please. The Bassett Unified School District is proposing to will have an applicant that will lease the site for 99 years, and that is the vacant portion of the campus for residential development. No buildings will be demolished and no existing uses will be discontinued. The units that will be provided will be market rate apartments that are for rent and developed in the townhouse style. Also proposed is the removal and replacement of existing fences and gates to allow free flow traffic flow through LeBourne Avenue to align, and the new fences and gates will align with the proposed school and residential boundaries. Next slide, please. The proposal requires several entitlements, the first of which is a general plan amendment, and that is to change the land use from open space to residential. Next is a zoning code amendment to change the zoning designation from open space to high-density residential. A variance, and that is for the allowance of 10,000 square feet of open space instead of 20,800 required. When ordinance 1527 goes into effect, the private open space requirement will be reduced to 100 square feet per unit, or 10,400 square feet for the project. The slide has a typo. It says that it will go into effect in August. It's projected to go into effect in September 4th. It had just first reading was approved by City Council just last week. At the administrative adjustment, the administrative adjustment is for 127 feet, 10 inches of building allowance, and in lieu of the 125 feet allowed. And then finally, design review to be compliant with the city's development standards and objective design standards. Next slide, please. The this slide shows the development standards for that apply to the project, and also and how the project complies. The zoning is R3, land use proposed is residential. Of note here, we can see that the units are dispersed across the lot in clusters of 2 to 6. The density shown here is 19.9 dwelling units per acre, where 20 is allowed. Lot coverage is 40.6%, where 60 is allowed. Parking is meeting the requirement of 243 spaces. Common open space requirement is 27,693 square feet, where 2,600 is required. And private open space is 10,000 square feet, where 20,800 is required. Next slide, please. The next item to discuss is the architecture for the project. The architectural design is Spanish, complete with earth-toned stucco walls, tile roofs, and dark brown accents that are typical of the architectural style. The proposed 2-story design is well below the 35 feet, 3-story limit that is governed by the municipal code. Next slide, please. This is a sample floor plan for one of the 5-unit buildings. And it's the 5-unit buildings that will be nearest the single-family residential to the south of the project. And next slide, please. The recreation building and the maintenance building and the recreation building is here shown on the slide. Both of those buildings will continue the architectural theme established by the residential buildings to create a cohesive design for the whole development. Next slide, please. Trees will be planted along the southern property line out of consideration for the adjacent single-family residential properties. Enhanced design improvements will be present at the entry of the development, including a pocket park, decorative paving, mature date palms, and a recreational building. It was staff's intent to add a condition of approval that requires the park to remain open to the public and maintain at the applicant's expense for the term of the agreement. However, this condition was inadvertently omitted, so staff will be adjusting our staff's recommendation to add that as a condition of approval with the recommendation. Next slide, please. I just wanted to provide this tree to to show an example of the trees that will be planted for the visual buffer between the neighbors to the south. The Brisbane box and the crepe myrtle are shown here on the slide. Next slide. Next is traffic and circulation. For this project, the central driveway will serve as the main vehicle access for the site, internally, that is. And branching out from that central driveway are driveways to extend to the edges of the property. This design was reviewed by County Fire, Waste Management, and the building official, and all of which approved the circulation pattern. Traffic expert Fair and Pierce analyzed the traffic for the project, and it was determined that there would be no significant impact per CEQA. The city engineer and LA County Public Works Department also reviewed the analysis of the traffic study and concur with the finding. Next slide, please. This slide shows some of the points that were studied in the traffic study. All the intersections shown here operate at a level of service with the A designation, which is the highest level. When the traffic for the project is considered with the traffic impact, the level remains also the same, also remains at level of service A. Next slide, please. The intersections of Berrydale and Puente Avenue and Van Wyck at Francisquito Avenue were studied, and it was determined that with both existing and future traffic, that both would meet at least one of the warrants for traffic signals. The warrants are thresholds that meet a requirement to need it. Based on the analysis and the discussion between LA County Public Works, the city engineer, and the applicant agreed to install a traffic signal at Berrydale Street and Puente Avenue as an offsite improvement for the project. Next slide, please. In regards to safety, LA County Fire, the fire department reviewed and approved the plans as shown by the stamp on the plan there. Also reviewed for safety for this project, LA County Public Works, LA County Flood Control District, Baldwin Park Public Works, and the Baldwin Park Building Division. All of these entities reviewed the plans, and their comments were incorporated into the project, and all recommending approval. Next slide, please. In regards to CEQA, an initial study mitigated negative declaration was prepared and noticed in accordance with the California Environmental Quality Act guidelines. The public comment period was from May 4th to June 30th, 2026, and comments were received. A list of the comments and responses to them are included at the beginning of the final ISMND and posted on the city website. Additional comments were received at the close of public comment, and those comments were printed and provided to the Planning Commission for consideration. And some of those comments even came in this afternoon. I do want to assure you those comments did make it to the Planning Commission for consideration. Next slide, please. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission recommend approval, Resolution 2607, to approve the project and find that the initial study mitigated negative declaration and the mitigation monitoring and reporting program was prepared in accordance with CEQA and the recommend adoption by the City Council. Also with this is the additional condition of approval that I mentioned earlier. So staff is recommending everything shown on the slide, plus the additional condition of approval, which would require the applicant for the life of the lease to maintain the pocket park as a pocket park at their expense for the term of the lease. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you for that presentation. I would like to open the opportunity to my fellow commissioners to ask staff any questions they have about this project.
So, Madam Chair, if I may. So I know that I appreciate you kind of opening up the Planning Commission meeting with just what is the objective of the Planning Commission, what we do. I know that we've been on the dais for some of us have been probably around 4 years plus. I know some of folks who are at the audience might be the first time. So I think it would be a really, really great opportunity just for us just to kind of take a step back and discuss the goal of the Planning Commission. I think the question I'd like just to ask our planning secretary as far as our obligations is, I know that there is a staff recommendation to approve the resolution with all those conditions, but as planning commissioners, are we obligated to vote for this staff recommendation?
No, you're not obligated to vote as staff recommends. You are an independent body. Encourage you to consider the evidence in the staff report and the materials included with you and the public comments you'll receive today, and take that all into consideration when making your decision to the city council.
Great. And I know that hypothetically, certainly we haven't heard any sides yet, or especially the applicant's presentation. But hypothetically, if we were to vote no, and it would go to the city council, because of course the applicant can appeal. If the city council votes no, what ends up happening with the project?
As far as the city process, that concludes the city process once the city council makes their decision.
Okay, thank you. And then I know that some of kind of just sort of the feedback that we've received or the comment throughout this week, but also in the past, is for doing a proposal of a park, community park, or even a community center. Can the Planning Commission or the City Council replace this application with a proposal for a park or a community center?
That would not be the role of the Planning Commission and City Council. The role for the Planning Commission is to consider the entitlements in front of you and judge if it meets the required findings.
Okay. And then just the next question that I have is that I understand that the project or the proposed project is located in the city of Baldwin Park, but it is Bassett Unified School District who owns the property, correct?
Yes, that's a bit confusing, but
Yes.
yes, you are correct. It's Bassett, not Baldwin Park Unified, but it's Bassett Unified that owns the property, even though the property is in the city, the jurisdiction of Baldwin Park.
And then let's make it a little bit more confusing. So the folks who may be affected by this live not in the city of Baldwin Park, but in the unincorporated area of LA County.
I would say technically it's both. So
Both.
you have the folks across the street and then beyond to the south, that's all unincorporated county, the community of Bassett. And then you have the multifamily residents immediately what's that east, immediately to the east, that's also Baldwin Park. So I would say it's a mix of both.
Okay. I know that there's the applicants here, and certainly I'll ask that question in a different way. But as far as when a school closes, in this case, this was the school that had closed, I think in the early 90s. If the school wanted, or if the school district wanted to have, a community center or a park, that would have been the responsibility or the initiative, the entity who would be proposing that project would need to come from the school district, not the city of Baldwin Park, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then I know that so looking at just the letters that we had received during the period, one specifically from Samuel Brown, I know that Orbach, Huff, and Henderson, who I believe are the school district attorneys, and there is a letter as well from the California Department of Housing and Community Development. They all talked about the Naylor Act. I know that there's different interpretations of the Naylor Act, I guess, depending on the party, but which interpretation are we supposed to, and I know it's a loaded question, but, as a planning commissioner, which interpretation do we need to follow for the purposes of this meeting?
Right. That issue was first analyzed by the school district's attorneys, at which the firm you mentioned. And they do not believe that their project is in jeopardy of violation of the Naylor Act. Our own City of Baldwin Park City Attorney also looked at that and concurred with those attorneys.
All right, so the City of Baldwin Park legal team is also in alignment.
That's correct.
Great, thank you.
I do have a couple of questions for staff. I was looking at the architectural plans, and I just want to make sure that I'm seeing this correctly. There is one way in and one way out, or was there a second one?
So there are 2 points of access to the property. So you can either go immediately south from the property and exit that way to get to public streets, or you can head northwest, and that's through LeBourne, and then you can access the public streets and through that way.
And the nature of that question is that we have significant public comment. We've heard some concerns, and one of the concerns that stood out to me was exit routes, emergency vehicle access, and how easy or how difficult it is for that. Have we had conversations with, I know that the Public Works probably had these conversations, but had we have conversations with police department, fire department about what that would look like?
Right. So the fire department reviewed and approved reviewed the initial design, which would actually it only had the one access to the south, and they were okay with just the one. But in response to or in consideration of comments or in feedback got that the applicant got from the community after outreach, they responded by negotiating with the school district to get a second point of access, which that's beneficial on many fronts. It's for the residents, for the existing community, for traffic, and for emergency access.
And then I have one more question before I stop monopolizing the mic. We know that housing and homelessness is a huge hot topic in California. Every few years, the state of California tells every city, these are your RHNA numbers. If you're not familiar with RHNA, it's basically an acronym for a very complicated policy that says you have to build X amount of units in X amount of time. What kind of impact will this project have in Baldwin Park's ability to meet those numbers?
I would say it has a very significant positive impact on making a good dent, a good contribution toward that number. So in the staff report, it does talk about what the state thinks we can take on, which is 2001 units in 8 years, which is quite a lot. And frankly, we're not on track to meet that. But that's not what RHNA means. It doesn't mean we have to build all those units. It's just what it was allocated to us as our fair share of anticipated growth. However, this project would at 104 units is approximately what we get for a whole year in terms of units. So it would be quite helpful in helping us climb towards meeting our RHNA goal.
And then I lied because I have one more question. What happens if Baldwin Park doesn't meet their RHNA goal? Do they get fined? Are there funds or benefits that it loses out on?
No, as long as we were able to get our housing element adopted on the next go around. Currently, we do have a housing element that's been adopted, so we're okay. So we do need to show that we're making progress towards it, and we're doing it. And then most importantly is that we have zoned enough properties to make that number, to make it possible to hit that number. But definitely we're encouraged by the folks at HCD to do everything we can to meet that number.
First of all, thank you for the report. I do have a few questions. You did say in the report that there was no significant impact regarding the traffic study. But then we go on and we talk about installing a new traffic signal. So I was a little confused as to why that happens. If there was no impact, why the need for a traffic signal?
Right. Thank you for the question, because that's probably something we should that should be clarified, and I can see how it'd be confusing. So for CEQA analysis, we're looking specifically at what impact a project has on traffic. So we're looking at impacts associated with that project. And for this project, it doesn't create enough extra traffic to create a significant impact. However, there is enough existing impact already in the community at those two intersections to warrant the signal. And with the additional traffic that the project will have, even though it's not a significant amount per CEQA, it's going to be, it's not nothing. It is some amount. So because of that, it was negotiated to with a discussion between our Public Works Department here at the city, the County Public Works Department, and the applicant, that it would be acceptable as an offsite improvement, not a mitigation measure through CEQA, but as an offsite improvement that the applicant would pay for the signal.
And with that, I'm thinking in terms of long-term sustainability, Bassett is going to see the financial gain, but Baldwin Park is going to incur the maintenance, or is that correct in terms of the keep up of the traffic signal, the infrastructure of the project? Is that going to fall on the taxpayers, the Baldwin Park taxpayers?
The traffic signal will be in the unincorporated Los Angeles County. It won't be in Baldwin Park. So it will be, so the initial cost, which is a significant initial cost to install the signal, will be borne by the applicant. But the maintenance will be Los Angeles County Public Works as they maintain all their infrastructure.
And you did say that the Pocket Park, that will be maintained by the developer?
Yes, and as they've always pledged to do, and with the condition of approval that I recommended, it will be conditioned that they'll be required to.
Now, again, 99 years, a 99-year lease is a long time. What happens if the developer goes into bankruptcy?
The conditions of approval run with the land. So if they need to sell the project to a buyer, they buy it with all the conditions of approval that run with the land. So including that requirement.
And in terms of, you said maintenance, would that also include if because it is an open park, if someone were to injure themselves on the park, would the city be liable for?
No, the city would not. The city is
That would
not, the city is not the owner. So we're not the city would not be taking ownership or liability. No. So the answer to your question is no.
Okay. And then I guess kind of what Madam Chair talked about regarding the emergency service. If, for example, a fire truck were to hit one of the gates, the entrance gates, would the city then be liable for any emergency vehicles striking the gate at that point if they were to if they were to strike the gate and not be able to render service to any, render service to a person in that community?
The city would not take on liability for that
If-
scenario.
Even if it's a private road?
Right. In that scenario, the city does not take responsibility.
I have a few questions. The staff report states that the original three-story design could fully comply with the private open space requirements, but the applicant revised the design and now is requesting a variance. Since a variance generally requires a hardship arising from a property itself rather than the applicant's design choice, can staff explain the unique physical characteristics of this property that makes it makes compliance with the municipal code infeasible?
The variance is there is justification for the variance here. And we're looking at a special circumstance here. And that one of the special circumstances is that you'll have a multiple family zone lot that's adjacent to primarily single family lot. That's not a typical circumstance. You typically have multifamily and surrounded by multifamily here. And because of that context, there is justification for an exception there. And then the reason behind it there is for privacy consideration.
I have another question. Sorry, thank you. The general plan amendment changes this property from open space to high density residential. Can staff explain how they balance the general plan's housing objectives with this open space and recreational objectives and identify specific general plan policies that support eliminating the open space designated for this site?
Yes, let's see. So both there's justifications are both in the staff report and then also the resolution. So I'd point to that first. So let's see. I'm sorry. Sorry, which one again? Which finding were you looking at?
Oh, I was asking for general plan policies that support eliminating the open space designation for this site.
Okay, you're right. So land use goal 1 is calling for a mix of housing to serve the varied needs of the future residents. So there's one policy that can be relied upon. Land use goal 2 calls for accommodation of new development is compatible with and it complements existing conforming land uses. So there's 2 that are identified in the staff report and I believe also in the resolution as positive affirmative land use goals and policies that support the change.
Okay, those are all the questions I have for now.
Hey, Nick. Thanks to everyone. I think they answered most of my questions, but one of the things I wanted to point out, the general land change is pretty typical, but when it comes to the variance, we are minimizing it by 50%. However, if I understand this correctly, once it hits September 4th, even if they apply, the variance no longer applies. They're in full compliance of it.
No, that's not correct. So they'll still, if the law is fully implemented and goes into effect as anticipated by September 4th, they'll be short 400 instead of 10,000. So quite a bit difference. But you are correct in that things change and that now a variance doesn't apply anymore. Then but because they're short, they would still need to apply for something. The administrative adjustment would apply. So there's already an administrative adjustment for this project. it would fall under that category for 400 square feet short of the requirement.
Got it. Which leads me to my second question. For the administrative adjustment, is there, I guess, findings that justify the 2 feet 10 that they're trying to move away from?
Yes, that is also in the staff report. The findings for the administrative adjustment are easier to achieve. Essentially, you're looking at that it's not going to be injurious to the adjacent property, will not be adverse to the general plan, and will result in a superior design. So, yes, it actually, though all the above will apply here for this project. As I go on to explain in the staff report, the real reason why we have this regulation not to exceed a building length of 125. The intent behind that is so you don't have a monolith. So you don't have something that's just going to be oppressive and massive to look at. It's and what you see with this design is something that addresses that quite well. There's a lot of articulation, ins and out, variation of roof form. So because of that, the whole reason for that regulation is addressed. So that they are exceeding by about 3 feet. It's a negligible increase.
Got it. So as a holistic, as a bulk, it's nothing out of the ordinary that would stick out as a sore thumb should it be one development.
Yeah, not at
Got it.
all.
That's pretty much it for me.
Thank you.
Checking in to see if there's any further questions from the commission.
Yeah, so I know that Commissioner Rodriguez and Arias were onto something with the variance. I think that's probably just the hottest topic for tonight. So I'll ask this question first to the attorney and then I'll follow up with you, Nick. So at least for tonight, I know that the requirement is 200 square feet of private open space per unit. So for tonight, I understand that September it'll be 100, but for tonight, are we looking at it through the lens of 200 or 100 since it's already approved by the city council?
You are looking at it through the lens of what is in place right now.
Okay.
So until the ordinance and the new rules change, you're looking at it for the existing rules. So
Yes,
it would
thank
be
you.
the 200.
200. So if we're doing this interpretation, or at least this corrected lens, no pun intended, 200, I know even in the report it said modest. I think that's a little insane for having them, subtract 10,000 or so. So I would just kind of communicate that to our, just the rest of the commission that is alarming from that perspective. I'm going to then put on my fortune teller hat and just look at hypothetical what that looks like post September. If it's 100 square feet, 100 square feet per unit, does that mean that every unit gets 100 of outdoor space because it's only, I think they're still off for 100 square feet for the open space requirement?
Right. So the reason they would still be short
Yes.
is that because there are a few units that have less. I think a few have 60.
So, or the majority of the units going to be 10 by 10 open space? And certainly I can re-ask that question to the applicant and their team. But that is also a concern of mine about what that open space looks like, if it's kind of the minimum standards or it is more of a creative design for it. Hopefully that makes sense.
So I don't believe it's all of them are square. There are variation.
Okay.
We could probably pull up the plans, but I think a lot of them are front yards. So they're as wide, the front, it's as wide as the unit. And multiplied by however deep to get to 100. But that's
I
my
see. Okay.
recollection of the plans.
Great, that's noted. And I'm glad, I'm sure we'll revisit the variance in the during tonight. But the public pocket park, so thank you for catching that it wasn't a condition. I would also note for the rest of the commission that it was also stated that it was going to be a public pocket park. So not only is it for the resident, again, if it is accepted or move forward, it's not only for the residents of the proposed project, but it is also open for the public as well. So if we were to decide to move forward, I would want to ensure that that condition states that it's certainly open to everyone else or to the public. I think that's it for now.
One last question, Nick, in regards to the open spaces or private open spaces, do you know if there's a difference between the 60 versus the 100 square feet based on unit? Or it's just based on space available?
I believe there was some even variation between building types. So generally the
2 versus the 3?
right. So if you look at generally the buildings are the same. They're templates. But that's general. There's a few, like I think on the maybe perhaps the corners that have it's a little different. So I think it's just a handful that have something that are less than 100 that have that 60 square foot open space.
All right, at this time, if there are no further questions by the commission to staff, I'm now going to declare public hearing open. We are going to first hear from the school district and the applicant. My apologies, Dave. Tonight, we're going to give every speaker 2 minutes. But not to the school district and the applicant. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Anthony Ortiz. I'm the proud new superintendent for Bassett Unified School District. I just wanted to speak on behalf of the project tonight. Our mission as a school district is to meet the social, emotional, and academic needs of our student community so they excel in career and college. To achieve our mission, we dedicate and preserve all available resources to offer equitable, engaging, and rigorous learning opportunities to our students. Bassett Unified School District is not unlike most school districts in California that are experiencing declining enrollment. Declining enrollment does reduce our average daily attendance, and that is the primary measure that the state of California uses to determine our funding. Our work is to identify additional revenue sources for the benefit of our student staff and core academic programs. One action that we can take to explore is to explore unique options to curtail funding gaps and implement one that best meets the needs of our students. With this project, the district believes we will receive a long-term revenue stream that can be used towards general fund and to meet the district's needs. This project will support current educational programs, fund development of new ones, and help us maintain and update our facilities and support the recruitment and retention of high-quality teachers. Unlike a sale, this joint occupancy structure preserves our land assets while being a long-term source of revenue for the district. While we are also putting a vacant and underutilized property into productive use for the district, city, and surrounding neighborhood. And with that, thank you for your time. And with that, I'll turn it over to our development partner, Stone Properties. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ortiz.
Can we bring up our presentation, please? While we're doing that, so respected Chair Escobosa, Planning Commission members, thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to talk today. My name is Jay Aluwalia, and I'm the president of Storm Properties, and we are very pleased to work together with the Bassett Unified School District on this project. I would also like to thank this time Nick with planning, Okina with the community development, Daniel with the Public Works, number of city staff that have worked with us, as well as LA County Public Works and LA County Fire Department to guide us through this project, to bring this project over to present to the commission over here today. We actually believe this project is a really good end result of listening to the community and incorporating their feedback into the community as much as possible, and then try to make sure the project meets the needs of the city as well as it meets the needs of the school district. So what we call it is creating new housing, a new neighborhood park for the long-term benefits of Baldwin Park, because it's in the city of Baldwin Park, but obviously the Bassett neighborhood that's all around it. So it's a benefit for all the community in the neighborhood. Next slide, please. So just a little background on us, Storm Properties. We haven't done a project in the city before. We are a family-owned business, majority women-owned business. 3 main shareholders that are all women. We have been in the business since 1970s, and we do a lot of operation and development of multifamily in Southern California, as well as Arizona. So it's a product that we're very familiar with, and we're excited because it brings new opportunities for people to stay in the community that they really want to stay in. So next slide, please. I think one thing I wanted to visually show, I know Dr. Ortiz talked about the decline in attendance. Here you can actually really see how the attendance at the school has gone down over the last 25 years. So it's down almost 50% as you go back. So that's the challenge that they're facing, and hence this asset that has been vacant. One of the reasons it's open space is it's never been used since the 50s. If you go back to the old area, everything around it got developed. This parcel was open space, as was everything at that time, and has continued to be the open space since then. So next slide, please. So I think one thing, like Nick did a great job. I think we talked about it. We began by listening to the community. We had a neighborhood meeting in December of 24. We heard some feedback. We incorporated that feedback. We went back to the community in March of 25. Then to further analyze it and get feedback from the community, and you'll see a little bit more in detail, we knocked 7,000 doors in the city of Baldwin Park as well as Bassett area to see what the community felt in general overall about the project. So our goal again is try to address as many concerns as possible, and I'll quickly show you, run through, and I think some of the questions you guys are asking are great questions. I think you will hopefully see some of them answered over here also. Nick did a great job of answering those questions. So next slide, please. So like I said, our motto has been, you spoke, we listen. And so I'll run through these things, and I'll visually kind of show you what we have done. One of the questions was 3-story to 2-story. We reduced to match the scale of the neighborhood. We heard the concern on one entry on Millbury. So we worked with the school district board. They were very gracious to hear that and said, oh, we want to address that concern. So we added a second entry. We expanded the neighborhood park. So you'll see that. And then the idea being to improve neighborhood compatibility by the project that we're envisioning and working with the city on this parcel. So next slide, please. So here you can see, we actually went to city council in 2024 initially. They wanted to see this concept. So we presented that. We were 3-story. The feedback we heard after that. So we changed the scale from 3-story to 2-story. The neighborhood homes, single-family homes are single-story and 2-story. So the high-density product next to us does go up to 3-story. So next slide, please. Here you can see on the left is a December meeting. We had one entrance on Millbury. The response was, hey, there's traffic on Millbury, there's safety concerns of Millbury. Even though fire department was approving a single entrance, we heard that concern. Again, like I said, worked with the school district board, and they approved the extension to a second entry. So we have one on Millbury, one on LeBourne. This will be open 7/24. to all, any users, anybody who wants to drive through this thing. So it's not gated in any way. It's not closed in any way, and actually gives access to the public park that you will see in the back over there. Next slide, please. So here you can see we took this site, just to confirm, we took the site. We've met a number of times with LA County Fire Department, reviewed the design of the building, all the fire department requirements for the structure, for the safety of the residents. It's two-story product, so it's a little bit, the standards are a little bit different than typically three-story product. So, but they really like the idea of having two access, gives them two ways to go in. I think one of the questions was, if you hit a door, can you access the site? There are actually two gates. There's one gate that is emergency exit only, designed for the same purpose, that if one gate gets blocked, there's a second access out of the site for the neighbors as well as fire department. So they approved the site. They reviewed. They did not have any concerns on access on Millbury or Berrydale. LA Fire Department works in a lot narrower streets throughout the city of LA, so they were very comfortable with the streets that are around the project. Next slide, please. So I think one of the big concerns, like we talked, is parks. So our motto is we want park too, and so did the school district. So what we have designed over here is a neighborhood park. It's a pocket park. It will be built and maintained by us. So it will be no cost to the city. It will be no cost to the school district. And it will be a great benefit to the neighborhood to be able to walk to the park. The current site is locked, right? The school district, you cannot enter. The community has never been able to enter the vacant parcel that sits over there because it's always been locked by the school district for the safety of the school district and preventing, homeless or people going in there and creating dumping issues. So this site, and we worked with the neighborhood. There was a little different design. We added the trellis that you see in there. We added some seating areas for the neighbors to go sit and enjoy. So we listened and we modified our plan over here as we moved forward. Next slide, please. I think this is one thing we did, which kind of goes sometimes beyond a lot of projects. We did a canvassing of the neighborhood. So, we had a team. We've been doing it for about 6 months. We knocked on 7,000 doors between Bassett and City of Baldwin Park. People are home. Sometimes they're not home. So we got about 2,000 plus doors that we were able to connect with people. We got 77% support for the project and only 8% opposition. And the rest were like, doesn't matter to me. I'm not supportive or against the project. But as you can see, the opposition was very minimum at 8%, but the support was really strong. We have 1,480 cards signed by the homeowners themselves, that we will be submitting actually at the city council meeting, but we can show them to you later today. We have those cards. And the main reason for a lot of people to support was, hey, they want to support the schools. Like Dr. Ortiz said, it helps bring revenue, that helps provide better services for their children. And then the other comment they wanted was, hey, the newer product will give more opportunities for our next generation to stay in the local who are sometimes looking for a new product and more family-oriented product. So that's the feedback. You can see that on the map, all the green dots, and then you can see the red dots that represent some of the people who were opposing it. Next slide, please. So I think why this site, again, it's been vacant, it's unutilized, it hasn't been used in the last 65 years as the neighborhood has developed. It generates no benefit for the community. So this one actually brings a park to the neighborhood. It helps transform an unusable site from a land use perspective and the neighborhood perspective to something that's good for the city. And then obviously it's really good from the school district perspective because it helps them achieve their goal, which is their mission. Next slide, please. So I think one of the questions also discussed was what's the benefit to Baldwin Park, City of Baldwin Park? So one is the City of Baldwin Park gets 104 single family style. Typically you can only buy these kind of homes. So these are town homes. So people, it's a lot more affordable than buying a home. And get actually better amenities and free, all maintenance included in these units. So it's something that brings a really cutting edge product to the City of Baldwin Park. It gives the neighborhood a park. Yes, it's not a 5-acre park, but it at least gives them a park that they don't have to pay for in their taxes. The city doesn't have to cost city anything, and we maintain it for the neighbors over there. It helps the city achieve its RENA goals. Like all the cities are working towards meeting their RENA goals, so it really helps from that perspective. It creates actually a short-term, pretty significant income from the city's perspective, about 2.3 million in development fees and impact fees that we will be paying. And then on an ongoing basis, the benefits of having the residents and the taxes from the property exceeds the cost to the city. So it's actually an ongoing net tax revenue to the city also. So there's a really positive over there. As it supports, all these tenants will support the local businesses. And then since they're very family oriented, as you saw, 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom homes, they're not studios, they're not 1-bedrooms, they're not intended for mostly single people. They're intended to bring families that have children and that help the school district with its attendance goals also. Next slide, please. So I think overall, we believe that this project is a good mix for everybody's requirements. It brings new housing. It brings the new public park. It helps school district with its goal. It is compatible with the neighborhoods from a scale perspective. A lot of community feedback has been incorporated into this project. So that's why we respectfully ask the Planning Commission to consider the approval of the general plan amendment, zone change, and some of the other requirements we're asking for. And then lastly, last slide, please. And here it kind of shows you what the product and the project's going to look like. You have a park, you have amenities, you have a recreation center with pool, you have a really nice entry to the project over there, so the neighborhood will not see, it will see a nice product going in. And as you can see, we worked with the architectural firm to really incorporate a lot of the design feedback that we had from the city to make the product very attractive. So again, I just want to say thank you for your time. We have our team over here. If you have any technical questions, we can always bring somebody in. But otherwise, myself and Dr. Ortiz is here to answer any questions. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So checking in with my fellow commissioners, do we have any questions to the applicant or to the school district?
Yes. So if I can have Dr. Ortiz. Hi. Well, so first of all, I just want to thank the applicant for just the presentation, certainly the community engagement outreach. Listening to the community, I think the parklet, as it was described in the report, 3 stories to 2 stories, points of access, 1 to 2, and so forth. So from that perspective, certainly welcome the fact that the community is taken into perspective. I hear what you talked about for the school district, kind of sort of the benefits, but I didn't hear you quantify it. Do you have any numbers that you can share with us about what this financial impact would mean to the school district?
I'll ask one of my team members to come up.
Sounds good.
Good evening, commissioners.
Good
My name is Tempest Tatum. I'm legal counsel for Bassett Unified School District. And I believe your question was, what are the financial implications to the district?
Yes.
So the district and Storm are currently, they haven't finalized the terms of the deal yet. But when we went through the RFQP process, we ensured that the proposals that was selected would be in line with the fair market value of the property. But we don't have final figures yet.
Do you have ballpark figures?
Nothing has been board approved yet, so
Okay.
we just don't want to put a number out there that hasn't been approved.
Sure. I did hear Dr. Ortiz talking a little bit about the general fund. Can you describe what the general fund goes to and who oversees the general fund?
Yeah, the school district, the general fund allows a little bit more flexibility. There's primarily 2 funding sources. There's categorical funding, plus general fund. The general fund allows us more flexibility in spending. So the fact that the project, any revenue we bring in, would be used, placed in the general fund, allows us more flexibility, like I said, for teacher salaries, materials, equipment, and helping with our facilities, which are also in need of support.
Sure. I heard teacher salaries. What about superintendent salary?
What's that?
I heard teacher salary. What about superintendent salary?
Well, it would all come out of that general fund, so
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's just us trying to be, I say teachers because just being competitive with surrounding districts is our goal, to try to supporting higher quality teachers. So that
The
would be
retention,
helpful.
yes. Is there resident or citizen oversight of that general fund, or is it to the discretion of the school board?
Discretion of the school board.
Great, thank you.
I have a question, Dr. Ortiz, since you're up here. I was reading in the plan, they did talk about Assembly Bill 2295, which actually states that as a school district, you guys can actually use the land and you can rent it out to district employees. Although 30% of the land needs to be used for low income housing, and you can actually bypass us and the city. Why didn't Bassett do that?
Yeah, I'll ask one of my other team members to come up. I'm just for clarity, and I've been, I think, on the job for 10 or 11 days. So there is some background that I don't have, but I will let our attorney speak.
Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. That measure that you spoke to, the bill, goes directly to employee housing projects. This
Right.
is not an employee housing project or staff housing. It's geared more towards market rate housing. And that is the reason why that particular pathway was not utilized here for the entitlement process.
Because you guys wanted the market rate versus the lower rate.
The project was
For market.
procured for market rate, correct?
Thank you.
Having been on the job for a whole 10 days, Dr. Ortiz, thank you for bearing with us. I just, for my own curiosity, I wonder if you can speak on the impact that the declining enrollment and thus the declining state funding has had on Bassett Unified.
Yeah, like I said, we're not unlike any other district. Our attendance, our ADA does help fund the general fund, the money we receive from the state. So obviously we've declined, like the slide shows, significantly. So it does impact funding that comes from the state. Items like I mentioned, facilities, salaries, programs are impacted. I think any other district, Baldwin Park Unified School District's no different. Difficult decisions have to be made. So this type of funding would help us support our goals and really the education of our students. And I think we share the same challenges as any other school district in California, I think we're all suffering from declining enrollment.
But I wonder if you can give me a little bit more detail as a mother, somebody who might enroll children in your district. What would those change? What does it look like now? And what are we hoping it would look like in a few years?
Well, like I said, our facilities would be a significant focus for us. Programs in terms of instructional programs, instructional materials, funding for teachers. And I continue to say that because I think salary makes a difference and it helps to recruit, but also retain current staff. And I say teachers, but that's also our classified staff. They're equally as important. You talk about like technology, any kind of instructional material that comes through the classroom would be used. There'd be a balance of categorical funding, but there are some things that can only, categorical funding is most times very restrictive. So relying on general fund is what most school districts will do. So there is a direct impact in terms of classroom instructional materials, facilities, and things like that.
Thank you.
I have a question for the developer. And it mentioned in the staff report that City of Baldwin Park residents would have the opportunity to, I guess, put an application in for housing. What is the current market rate for your units?
I mean, a lot of it depends on the timing and the market and how, right now, I would say that the market rate units in the low $3,000 range for a 2-3 bedroom, including your car, 2-car garage. You don't have to pay extra for parking. You have all the amenities included. You have all the maintenance included. We have a park next door. We have a dog facility. So a lot of facilities that come. If you go try to buy a similar style home, a townhome outside, those run in the $700,000 range, and those get to be more in the $6,000 range. And that's why a lot of people just can't afford the newer home. So the idea is to bring similar product, but a lot less price than being able to have to go buy a home.
Thank you.
Question for the applicant. When it comes to the open space and the variance, we're already looking at cutting 50% of the space. When it comes to those 10 units and the 60 square feet, they have a private space. Is there a reason why you kept it at 60 instead of trying to push it to 100, being that all the floor plans are kind of similar?
Yeah, so it's only on 10 of the units that they're 60, and it's mainly related to the site's not a square, and it has some corners that need to be accommodated. So that's kind of the reason they have 60. It's a private open space, so you have a yard. It's a smaller yard. Most of the apartments have no yard. I mean, actually, majority of 95% of apartments do not give you a private yard. So our goal was to give a yard to everybody and as much as possible. So these 10 we couldn't accommodate just because of the length and the width of the units as well as the shape of the lot. So it's
Got it.
only 10 units.
Got it. But by having that goal, our original private square foot was 200 square feet. Now it's 100 and some are 60. So I'm just wondering if there was a thought besides it, because all the units seems to be similar, right? Is there a reason why they can't share 100 square feet? Is it a physical restraint or?
Yeah, it's a physical constraint on those units because of the shape of the lot, that the ability to add more square footage is not there to be. So what we have done is we've given a lot of common open space and the park. We try to, right. So, but on those 10 units, that is our challenge is mainly the physical constraint on the site plan over there.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, so just additional questions to Storm Properties. So again, very commendable for doing, or I commend the applicant for doing the public engagement. Can you share how the outreach was done for, I know it was a lot of hours, a lot of doors knocked. Did the organization conduct that, or did you outsource that to a third party?
We worked with a firm that specializes in canvassing.
Okay.
So we had 5 to 6 people going door to door knocking. So we have one of our gentlemen, he's going to come back later and talk to the project and how we did it. But that was the plan, what we did. So we went area by area, knocking on the doors. We had 5 to 6 people. If somebody responded, we have a flyer that kind of shows them the project and says, is this a project that you would like to support? And people asked questions and then they responded to those questions. And depending upon how the homeowners felt or the tenants of that place felt, that is how we got them to say, no, I don't want it, or I like it, I think it's great, and they signed support.
So part of that process, I know that there are a couple, I forgot how many, I think it was about 17 made it to the staff report that we received. Were those letters, were the majority of those letters collected by the firm and then mailed, or did each individual decide to mail it? And the reason why I bring this up is because as part of the process, it was scanned, not only the letter, but the handwritten letter, but also the envelope. So I think coincidentally, just a lot of the envelopes looked nearly identical, and they all had the same date when they were dropped off at the post office. So I'm just curious whether it was organic, each person in favor of it, taking the time to drop it off in the mail, or it was more of a collective organized effort.
It's with a combination of the two.
Okay.
So sometimes like, hey, is it more convenient for you to mail it or give it to us? We
Save the
can mail
stamp,
it for
right.
you. And, but it's all physical touches. These are all real people that the canvassers talk to, and they gave a letter or signed a support card. And a lot of them are here to talk about it also. So.
And then would you still be the best person to talk about the access points, or is there somebody else from your team that can?
No,
share
I'll
more?
probably be and if I need somebody, I'll bring somebody
Oh,
in.
sounds
but
good.
Probably be starting with me.
So I know a lot of the feedback that was received from the community as well as when they were here was just the two access points. So I do want to recognize, and I to be fair, you did state, yeah, I think the way that the report was written, it was both driveway A and driveway B, you could enter and exit, but I know that you made it very clear that only one driveway you can enter, and then the other driveway, I'm sorry, one driveway you can exit, and then the other driveway you can enter and exit. Is that correct?
No, sorry. If I stated, I did not mean to imply that. Both driveways are full entrance and exit. So it's a two-way
Two-way.
all the way through Labourne from Berrydale to Millbury. So
Okay.
people can go this way, people can go down, or the other way around, or come in either of the directions.
Okay, I guess I can follow up with staff, but I think the way that the report was written, it was implied that it was just only one exit and then the other driveway was entrance and exit. So certainly it's better that it's both in and out for both, so that's reassuring for.
So currently, just to clarify, maybe that is the way. So currently, the way it works is you can enter from Berrydale to Labourne, and it's a one-way going, but on Millbury, it's an entry and exit. So the plan will change that to a two. So we're going to widen that 20-foot pathway right now to
Yeah.
24 feet. And that way we can make it a true two-way lane going from Millbury to Berrydale.
And I know Commissioner Arias had asked a really great question about just the minimum, meaning kind of sort of the minimum requirement of the 400, or I'm sorry, that we're still off 400, or maybe if we're looking at the lens from today for the variance, it's a lot more. But couldn't you have built less units to accommodate kind of the the private open space requirement?
So, I mean, one of the big goals to help the school district is to generate revenue, right? So I think some of the questions, there's no public funding at all being used
Sure.
for this project. So $0 is taken from any public funding. So, so the goal was to help school district generate more revenue. So that's how we worked to since this change was coming pretty soon after us.
Yes.
Most of the partners, like we said, have actually no private space. So we being a family business, we like to do that. You know, if you have a dog, I don't want to walk to the dog park all the time. I have a patio
Sure.
outside, I can barbecue. So we try to incorporate them all. And then we took some of the space and put it into the public park because that's a community benefit over there also.
Of course. Okay, great. And my last question is regarding the traffic light, so that it's proposed to be installed. Now, for the traffic light, that funding is coming from you,
From us,
right?
right.
But I recall reading that there is a component of the condition where the public works director can make the decision not to have it. Is that right?
Good evening, Commissioner.
Hi, good evening.
So that was a draft condition that's been revised, and like has been mentioned, the applicant has agreed, and we did get a letter from LA County confirming that the traffic signal will be installed, and the county wants to see it go in as well.
Despite what the director says,
No,
right?
that came from the director. So the LA County Public Works Director has provided a letter saying that they're in support of that traffic signal. Because we had not heard from LA County, that's why we wrote the condition the way we did. But since then, we've gotten a response from LA County Public Works and their director supporting the traffic signal. So that it will be going in.
Sure. So if we were, again, hypothetically, we still haven't heard all sides yet. If we were to vote in favor of it, we can amend the condition to remove that section where the director doesn't have that discretion anymore.
Correct.
Great. Thank you so much.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
Commissioners? All right, seeing as there are no further questions of staff, I'm now going to declare public hearing open. As a reminder, we're going to do things a little bit different tonight just because there's so many of you and we want everyone to have the opportunity to come up and express their thoughts. We are going to give each of you 2 minutes to speak. We will start with the people who are present in person, and then we will move on and give the people over Zoom the opportunity to share their thoughts. For the people listening in on Zoom, if you would like to speak, we are asking that you raise your hand, so that can help us keep things in order. I think we're ready. Yes.
If the Zoom participants, if you wish to speak, please raise your hand. The first person we call is Lourdes Hermanillo. Lourdes. One more time, Lourdes.
She might have stepped out.
I'll put her towards the end and call her again.
Thank you.
Ignacio Ramirez. I didn't hear her. Okay. Okay. You could bring her up.
Yeah. Buenas noches.
¿Sí? ¿Ahí está bien? Ujú. Buenas noches. Mi nombre es Ana María Javier Ramos. Soy residente desde hace 20 años de Baldwin Park. Ajá. Y vengo a hablar a favor del proyecto. ¿Por qué? Porque una de las primeras, creo que es la causa principal, la falta de matrícula en las escuelas. Cuando digo las escuelas, me estoy refiriendo a todas las escuelas de Baldwin Park, obviamente porque es mi comunidad donde yo resido. Ajá. No nada más ha sido cerrada una sola escuela, ha habido varias escuelas las que han cerrado por falta de la matrícula. Ajá. Y veríamos pensando, en primer lugar, una razón principal es la falta de vivienda. En particular, nosotros vivimos rentando aquí en Baldwin Park, como ya lo dije, desde hace 20 años. Entonces, las rentas suben cada año. Ujú. Y lo que queremos también estar en una estabilidad más estable en referente a nuestra vivienda. Ajá. Entonces, volviendo al punto de por qué hay esta falta de niños en las escuelas, es la inmigración de los padres que van a buscar pues mejores rentas y estas quedan a las orillas, obviamente lejanas de aquí de la comunidad. Y algunos padres como nosotros que ya tenemos mucho tiempo, pues sus trabajos son, si no cercanos, pues relativamente a la comunidad. Entonces, la opción de tener una vivienda mejor, aparte de mejor, pues, edificio y demás, pues la renta. Entonces, vuelvo a repetir, emigran hacia otras ciudades o inclusive estados en donde puedan tener mejores oportunidades de vivienda. Entonces, es por eso que en este sentido,
muchas gracias.
Particularmente apoyo al proyecto.
Muchas gracias.
Mm-mm. Ignacio.
Ignacio, if you're able to, would you be able to come up and paraphrase what your mom shared? Thank you so much.
Good evening. My name is Ignacio Ramirez. Basically, what my mom said is that she supports the project, the housing project, because of the attendance in the schools. This will not only bring new attendance to provide more housing for the community, but it will provide more, as you provide more housing for the community, it will also provide more, eventually more families to come over here instead of migrating to another cities like Victorville. Like my brother lives in Victorville. He went to Victorville. He drives all the way to La Puente to work over here in a company where she works in. So that's what my mom said. She supports the program because of that. And basically, that's what she said. I'm sorry. My translating is not that good. So
You did fine. That was a great paraphrasing. Thank you so much. So at this time, I am going to ask the audience that if you wish to speak on the agenda, again, you're more than welcome to fill in a comment card and submit it, and we can call you up. I do ask that everybody be respectful and mindful of each other so that we can hear everybody's thoughts and opinions. Okay, so if I can get the next speaker.
Yvonne Garcia.
Thank you.
Yvonne Garcia. One more time, Yvonne Garcia. I'll put her in the back again. We'll call again. Jeanette Mendez.
Welcome.
Buenas noches, Consejo Municipal. Mi nombre es Janet Méndez, soy residente de la comunidad y estoy muy preocupada porque quieren cerrar las escuelas donde muchos de nuestros estudiantes o hijos asistieron. Es preocupante que nuestros niños tengan que buscar otros lugares para su educación. Esto provocará más tráfico, accidentes y más dinero que gastar. Solo dice alguien que por 2 años estuvo viajando 2 años, más de 5 millas. Y aún así no era suficiente por el tráfico que a veces genera también la lluvia. El proyecto apoyaría a fomentar más economía, más educación para los residentes de esta comunidad. Gracias.
Okay, so what I'm going to do right now, we're going to do things a little bit different. I am going to paraphrase for Miss Janet, but if any other Spanish speaking speaker wants to come, if you have someone who can translate for you and you want them to accompany with you, that's going to be perfect. Try, you're testing my Spanish. En este momento vamos a pedir que las personas que hablan español, si tienen a alguien que los puede acompañar para que traduzca al inglés, los invitamos a que los acompañen. Si no tienen a alguien, está bien, yo voy a hacer lo mejor que puedo para traducir para ustedes. Having said that, Ms. Jeanette did share that she is in opposition of the project. She raised concerns around increased traffic, and she voiced her desire to see children having more open spaces to play in.
Next, Paris Ray.
Ms. Janet, you're in favor of the project. Thank you. Thank you for the correction.
Chair, if I may, if I may help with the translation a little bit. So one of the things that Ms. Mendez mentioned is that she's worried about schools closing down because some of those schools that their kids in the community have gone to are closing. She's worried about kids traveling further to schools, which will impact traffic, make it worse. So those are a couple of things that I picked up from her communication.
Thank you. I will welcome all the help I can get. Thank you. So sorry. Thank you all for bearing with me. I promise to work on my Spanish after this. I am going to ask that when you come up to speak, if you can very clearly say, yes, I support the project, or I oppose the project. Para las personas que hablan español, vamos a pedir que cuando vengan a hablar, que si nos pueden decir claramente si soportan el proyecto o sí o no. Se apoyan, gracias. Se apoyan el proyecto. Gracias. Thank you all.
What? Once again, Paris Ray.
Hello, everyone. I'm Paris Ray.
Hi.
Hi, I'm the business owner of Alex P Legal Services. I'm here today because I support BP because I'm licensed in BP. I'm a full-time law student, baby bar status. I feel that this is an opportunity to shed light on this little one who was a Baldwin Park Unified School District member. Now he's with a different one. We see you guys are building the Bassett project. We support it because we believe in stable housing. We believe in public responsibility, safety, and investing in projects. And we also agree with community engagement. And we feel very honored today to be here to support that engagement. For these reasons, I respectfully urge the Planning Commission to approve the Bassett Villas project because this represents our investment in our community, our schools, our neighborhoods, and it adds progress to Baldwin Park. Excuse me, I'm nervous. It adds progress. And yeah, we really would like this to be approved and honored because this will make our attraction very beautiful when they drive in, move in, and just go to school. And thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next, we have Paola Hernandez. Paola. One more time, Paola Hernandez. We'll put her towards the back. Maria Maya. That's Maria, right? Oh, Maria Maya. One more time, Maria Maya. Go to it. Victorino Dominguez.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Victorino Domínguez, tengo viviendo aquí en Baldwin Park 25 años, o casi 26. He visto cómo las escuelas a veces van reduciendo el número de estudiantes en las aulas. Creo que este proyecto está muy bien. No sé si la opinión valga, pero yo estoy a favor del proyecto porque creo que generará más oportunidades para otras familias, para que crezca la comunidad y las escuelas estén más cerca. Entonces, pues yo estoy a favor de este proyecto para que haya más, algo más para los estudiantes, o sea, más en las escuelas que haya más cosas para que los estudiantes puedan estar bien y estudiando, que no tengan que ir más lejos, porque la verdad el tráfico ya es bien difícil y manejar mucho es crear accidentes y todo eso, ¿verdad? Yo vivo aquí en la Monterrey, Los Ángeles, y los hijos, más bien mis nietos, porque ya tengo nietos, pues ya no les tocan las escuelas que están cerca, ya quieren mandarlos a escuelas más lejos. Este proyecto yo creo que sería bastante bueno. Yo lo apoyo. Gracias.
Gracias. Daniel, you're up.
All right. Again, I appreciate you doing your best. I'm right there with you, but my name is Victorino Dominguez. I've been in BP for 25 years. We understand school populations are declining. I feel this is a very good project. I am in favor of it. This is going to generate opportunities for families to grow, for the community to grow, and keep families close. This project will provide for more resources for students. I live near Monterey and Los Angeles Street, and it's important to keep our students close to the schools they attend.
Much better job than I would have done. Thank you so much.
Zoraida Perez.
Hi, good evening. Buenas noches. My name is Zoraida Perez. I've been a resident of Bowen Park for about 18 years. Most of my kids are graduating, but I also have a younger kid that's gonna start school here in Bowen Park. I'm worried about the schools closing down. And if I'm from Bowen Park, but if my kids would have to travel elsewhere, I think Bassett will be the closest because they'll be closer to me, to my work. Another thing, I myself need affordable housing. We all are paying too much rent, and if we want to move out somewhere to a nicer place, we can't afford it right now. A lot of us can't afford it. A lot of the people in the community and the school with kids not attending school has to do a lot with their housing. You can't live in a house in a coming down apart and expect the kids to be focused at school if they can't sleep right at night because you have other people, other neighbors in the community. In Bowen Park used to be really nice. Now you can't go out. There's a lot of homeless out, and a lot it's affecting because kids are dropping out of school. People are going to work with so many hours to pay for our rents that we are not taking care of our kids. The school can't take care of kids. Schools are closing down. So I'm in favor to for the Bassett. I think it's gonna help everybody out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Ana Javier.
Oh, thank you.
Next, we have Gerson. Gerson.
Hello.
Dear Planning Commissioner, staff, and community.
I'm so sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. Is the blue light on?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Are you able?
Dear Planning Commissioner, staff, and community, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Gerson Ibanez. I'm a resident here at Baldwin Park. I support this project because it can bring critical funding needed to protect Bassett Unified School District's quality of funding and education. And it can attract students to address Bassett Unified School District's significant decline in enrollment. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next, we have Augustine.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Mi nombre es Agustín, soy ciudadano de esta comunidad y vengo apoyando el proyecto de villas en Baldwin Park para traer los fondos necesarios para proteger la calidad de la educación. De esa manera, atraer a los alumnos por parte de la educación para disminuir significativamente los gastos de la inscripción. De esta manera, aportar para el futuro crecimiento de nuestras familias y de esta comunidad. Sin más por el momento, agradezco la atención prestada por los comisariados. Gracias.
Gracias. Victorino.
Hi, my name is Agustin. I'm a resident of the community. I support this project because I value the quality of education and I support the growth of our students, our families, and the community.
Thank you.
Our
Hello? No. So the next speaker is Akexali Perez. Akexali Perez.
Hello, my name is Akik Sali. I am the community member of Baldwin Park.
You're okay. Take your time.
I do support this project. So many schools have been closing down. I am a 23-year-old mom with 3-year-old.
You're okay.
That's it. They have my support.
Thank you.
Next, we have Rocio.
Hello. I would like to speak in Spanish, but I know everybody speaks Spanish and English. I'm gonna try. Good evening, commissioners and community here. As a mother, I resident in Baldwin Park for many years. I'm favorable and I say yes with the project because it will benefit many families and will recover financial issues that can protect the quality of school and education. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Louis. Louis. Okay, one more time. Louis. Okay, I'll put it towards the end. Teresa. Teresa. One more time. Teresa. Alfonso. 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 Maria Gema. Maria Gema. One more time. Maria Gema. Verónica. Verónica. One more time. Verónica. Pilar. Pilar. One more time. Pilar. Ismael. Ismael. One more time. Ismael. Yolanda. Yes.
Hello.
Sorry. First of all, my name is Yolanda Pompa. I do live on Millbury Avenue, the street that's going to be most impacted. Heavy traffic, no parking on our street would be the entrance and the exit from the villas. This neighborhood cannot and streets will not be able to support the traffic and the parking and so forth. Believe me, we are for change, but not this kind of change. Why do I say that? Is because the first time it was proposed, it was said that it was one way in, one way out on our street, which is Millbury. I don't know if any of you guys have taken this, Miss Smith, if you have taken the time to walk or drive down our street to see how the whole thing is. I don't know if any of you guys have took that time before you guys make this decision. Does not make any sense whatsoever. And then on another thing, you know, kids play on the street. Cars come down our street very, very fast. When I read that proposal saying there's a pocket park, it is not for the public. It says private pocket park. I don't know if you guys know, there is a Head Start still there. Are they moving it? Are they getting rid of it? And yeah, that's, you know, I really think you guys need to think and listen to us before you guys really make the decision. 99 years, a lease, who's benefiting? Where are these kids going to go to school? Bassett or Ballin Park? It's in Ballin Park, right? That's another thing. They're saying declining schools. Well, let's bring up those test scores. And parents like me and other parents will take our kids there. All of our neighbors don't even go to that school. They go to West Covina.
Thank you for your time. Yanetta? Yanetta? Yanetta. Well, sorry.
Commissioner, each name that sits on the board. Right. Thank you for having me here. I'm here, ask you to help us save Florence Planner. We need this park over there, not villas. We don't need that. Because what they're saying about a park over there, we can't, there ain't enough room for that. We need something our kids can go to. When the doors are locked at Bassett and the gates where the kids can't get in, they're hopping over the fences and stuff. I've been in this community 50 years. I've never seen Bassett School stand for something like this and supposed to be teaching our children in this community. These kids are running around the community. That's why we have so many gangs. Kids don't have nowhere to go. This is unfair to the community. And over on Millbury, I understand everything was said tonight. They didn't mention Millbury. They mentioned Berrydale and Puyallup Avenue. That's not gonna support our community. This community is standing tonight because it's unfairness to us. Didn't nobody come to my door and knock. I only got letters from Baldwin. I did get letters from you guys. I went to Bassett board meetings. Only thing that was said, we're working on the project. One thing I can say, you can have closed door meetings. Don't forget God went in there before you got there. Be truthful to this community. I do not oppose, I don't want Storm Property to get nothing in there because you put 104 units in there. We already got problems, no parking. No way out. We need the fire department. They got to go all the way around and they're going to have to stop to let the next car come through. We are in a bad situation over here. Please help us save the zoning over there.
Thank you.
I'll be dead and gone. Help us, please.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next, Steve Leonard.
Hi, good evening.
Evening.
I oppose the project. My name's Steve Leonard. I'm an associate attorney from Angel Law representing Safe Florence Planner regarding the Bassett Village development. We urge the Planning Commission to reject Resolution PC 2607 and the ISMND associated with it. This land has for decades been owned by BUSD, which chose unjustly to surrender the people's land to a private developer for market rate townhouses. Now we turn to you for help. Please don't let a real estate developer bulldoze its way to exploit public land. This project is likely to have significant impacts on local wildlife populations, and the technical reports appended to the ISMND fail to comprehensively examine the potential for air pollution, greenhouse gas emissions, and hazardous waste impacts. And it's not just us saying this. The Department of Toxic Substances Control themselves demanded more soil testing based on possible chemical contamination in the site. So we urge you not to adopt an MND based on incomplete environmental data and flawed science. This is not to mention that both Baldwin Park and unincorporated Bassett are park poor areas. So please don't turn this rare open space into market rate condos, which would forever foreclose the possibility of a full park. This isn't even affordable housing. These are market rate units. So the effects of the decision you make tonight will be felt by people across both Baldwin Park and Bassett. But even in the lead up to this hearing, the notice didn't initially feature a working link, and it wasn't translated into the languages many residents speak, like Spanish. So we respectfully ask that when this matter goes to City Council, that the city translate the notice materials for that hearing into locally common languages other than English, so everybody can fully participate. We also hope to see written responses to the comments submitted in the comment period for the ISMND. So just to close out tonight, the city has a chance to live up to its environmental justice values by standing up for the residents and for keeping public land public. Baldwin Park doesn't owe this development any of the many approvals it's seeking. The use of this land belongs to the people, not a private developer, and we respectfully ask that you reject the ISMND and the resolution before you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jorge de Real Carlos.
Great evening,
Good evening.
Baldwin Park. I strongly oppose the project, as I've stated many times. I had written stuff, but now I'm afraid all these people with name tags, they're either hired or something, because I've never seen them in our community. I live on Millbury. Never seen them there. I'm afraid these guys did a trick there or something, and how funny they said they door knocked. I asked every neighbor, no one got anything. So they probably door knocked 5 miles away from us, not in our community. So I need you guys to address that and do an investigation on that. That is unfair. Now, if you go back to the renders they provide, when maybe a little over a year ago, I asked a few of you guys, and those renders are inaccurate. They said they do not resemble the proposed project. And I asked them why. They said, "Oh, this is just design," but it doesn't resemble their proposed project. They're showing false information. I ask you guys to investigate and look further into that. They talk about Spanish architecture. Please, that's just the facade. Spanish architecture focuses on indoor-outdoor living, courtyards, green areas, not remnants from buildings. Either hire a better designer or do a better job. Thank you.
Leonor Garcia. Leonor Garcia.
Good afternoon, and thank you for your time and listening to us. I'm here. My name is Lenore Garcia, and I've been a resident of Baldwin Park for 30 years this coming May. And I am here to support the project, mainly because we have a housing deficit. I am a landlord too. I've been a landlord for 25 years, and I'm constantly getting phone calls from friends and acquaintances asking me if I have a rental property available, because rental properties are not available. So this will really help with solving part of the issue. They mentioned homelessness earlier. I understand that too. Another thing, another reason that this will benefit the city of Baldwin Park is that this 104 families are going to be purchasing goods from Target, from Walmart, from Home Depot. They're going to be supporting the economy for the city of Baldwin Park. They're going to be eating in our restaurants. They're going to be using our parks. They're going to bring children to help with the deficit in student enrollment. One thing I forgot to mention before my time goes up, I'm also a former City of Baldwin Park president of the Personnel Commission. And I've always been very active with the city, and I'm in full support of this project. Thank you for your time.
Tiffany, speaking for Laura Lopez. Tiffany?
Good afternoon. My name is Tiffany, and I'm speaking on behalf of.
So sorry, can you speak into the microphone, please?
Good
Thank you.
afternoon. My name is Tiffany, and I'm speaking on behalf of Laura Lopez. Her card here says, "I am a long-time resident of Baldwin Park, living near the project site. I am writing to voice my support for Bassett Villa's project as a nearby resident. I want to see this lot put to good use in a way that benefits our community. This project would bring much needed family housing to the area, a new public community park maintained at no cost, critical fundings for Bassett Unified School District, and turning this underused lot into family housing and green space is a responsible way to invest in Baldwin Park's future while supporting our local schools. Thank you for your consideration."
Thank you.
And then did you guys need the address? No, thank you.
Next, we have Marco Ramirez.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, commissioners. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Marco Ramirez. Yes, I have the privilege of leading this community outreach effort for Bassett Unified and also Bassett Villa project over the past 2 years. Okay, during this time, our team has knocked over more than 12,000 doors. It has spoke with thousands of residents, parents, business owners, and community stakeholders about this project and its benefits. More importantly, we have listened to them over and over again. Residents have shared the same message that they want better schools, more quality, more housing, more for families, and safe places for children and neighbors to go and gather together. And that's why there's such a strong support for Bassett Villa project. Parents have told us to support this project because they understand it provide important financial benefits to Bassett Unified School Districts, and everyone knows that. They know those additional resources can help strengthen our schools and create more opportunities for local students. Also, residents at the Baldwin Park needs more quality housing. The rents are super high. Young families who grew up in this community want the opportunity to stay here. They don't want to move out. But there simply are not enough housing options that meets their needs. This project will help address the need while creating a well-planned neighborhood for working families like you and me. Another benefit residents constantly mention is the community.
Thank you for your time.
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. If I could take more time. These are the cards that actually they picked up, and this will turn it today by people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Richard.
Hi, my name's Richard, former Baldwin Park resident, and now I'm living in Bassett La Puente area. I oppose of this construction project, because if you've been to the area, you take your fancy cars through there, good luck coming out, because one way in, one way out. And if you built this, there is going to be so much traffic there. And going back to what they were talking about, if there's a fire in that area, I don't know how the fire department's going to get in. And if you got people living there and these are rentals and it's going to cost them $4,000 to $5,000 a month to rent them, you're talking about 3 families living in them. Okay? Now you're talking about more cars on the street where they can't even park it. So I oppose this, and I hope you really think about it seriously. Sure, people think that the money is going to go to different schools in Bassett and Baldwin Park. What's the guarantee that that's going to happen? They just think that. But is it really going to happen? Is that money going to go to more teachers, more school supplies? Do you have the answer? So I would have you go down yourself, walk the neighborhood, drive your cars, check it out. Okay. Not only that, but Baldwin Park is under an earthquake fault. So what happens to that if there's an earthquake? How's the fire department going to get in there? Is there going to be easy access? Are you going to widen the streets? We're talking about more money there. So why don't we just concentrate in making a park there behind the school?
Thank you
Thank
for
you for
your
your
time.
time.
Thank you.
Sam Brown. Sam.
I sound tired. I'm tired because we've been here for the last 2 years. Everybody stand up if you've been opposed to this project and let them know that you're here. I'm here because I love this community. I believe every child deserves access to nature. Every family deserves a neighborhood park. Every community deserves public land that remains public. Tonight, you're not simply voting on a housing project. You are deciding the future of one of the last significant pieces of publicly owned land in the Bassett community. For generations, Florence Flanner has served children and families. It still serves children and families. To everybody saying that it's a closed school, the developer not even aware that it's still open and that the 2 entrances that they're proposing is going to go right through the parking lot in that child development center where kids 3, 4, 5 years old in Head Start are going to have to be dealing with 239 cars. I'm here because a 99-year lease may not technically be a sale, but for every child alive today and every child who will grow up here, the result is the same. The opportunity to use this land for future parks, educational facilities, or other public needs will be gone. We have a right to recreation. We have a right to joy. We might be working class. We might be poor in some cases, but we're not stupid. And this farce, paying people with the name tags to come here, one who even started crying because she felt so ashamed of herself for lying in a public hearing. I just want you to know, everybody here is saying we need a park. Not one person has said we need luxury housing that will displace and gentrify our community forever. No se vende.
Thank you. Francisco. Francisco.
Good evening, council members. My name is Francisco Arenas.
Hi, can I ask that you speak into the microphone?
Yeah, good evening. My name is Francisco Arenas. I don't know where to start, but I wrote something But now with all this confusion, and since you guys don't know many things about the project, so I'm like, they said about the park that is gonna be building around in the community. But imagine this size of the building for 104 families, plus the community that lives around. You think that is gonna be enough? So that's one of the points. The other thing is the Bassett district. They say that they care about the students' education, all that. Bullshit. That's not true. That is the worst in the San Gabriel Valley. That's the worst school in the district that has the lowest grades because of the superintendents. This new superintendent, he doesn't know anything yet. The other one that left, he was the one that sold to this company, to the Stone Properties. They sold the deal. So he left, and they ended up with him with all this mess. So I wrote something now, as a homeowner to be affected by this ridiculous and dangerous project, I am asking you to reconsider this project since it's going to be a disaster for our community that is already struggling to find a green space to our daily activities. Our streets are not capable of supporting more traffic on our narrow streets. And by doing this, project will increase, I would say 300% more
Thank you
traffic.
for your time.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Laura Santos.
I recently moved to Baldwin Park after 60 years in Bassett. I know that we have a dire need for housing, but this property is on Walnut Creek, literally on the banks in the watershed. And that's probably a big reason that it's not zoned for housing, it's zoned for open space. And I'm floored that the staff failed to mention that. Maybe it's in your paperwork, but it wasn't in their oral presentation. Bassett acquired that property by eminent domain in the 1950s. The final court order and the deed that conveyed the property to Bassett both say for education purposes. So the city has enough litigation. We don't need to get into any more. And there's other sites in Baldwin Park right around the corner between Van Wyck and Puente on Francisquito, where the liquor store, put housing there. We live there. We're the experts when it comes to traffic. And like you noticed already, if there wasn't an impact, there wouldn't be a need for a new signal. Regarding the location, if you go to Berrydale and Puente, that's unincorporated. If it's put on Francisquito and Van Wyck, that's Baldwin Park. They didn't give you the complete information. Regarding Mr. Ortiz and Baldwin Park, Bassett Unified, he's new. He hasn't been there a month. He doesn't know the community. Most of the people in support of it do not live there. They're either on the north side of Baldwin Park or someplace else, but they don't live in that community.
Thank you for your time. Next we have Manuel Maldonado.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a former resident of Baldwin Park. We moved to Baldwin Park in 1963. We moved out of Baldwin Park in 1968. I attended Central School in Charles D. Jones. The reason I am here is because I'm now a resident and a community activist in the La Puente area, Bassett area. I raised 10 children and I know the importance of education. And as previous speaker said, please, if you take the time, drive around the neighborhood, Berrydale, LeBourne, and all those streets, and not only during the daytime, but also during class time. See the narrow streets. A few years ago, there was one of the houses burned down on the vicinity, and the fire trucks could not get in because of the narrowness of the streets. It was the neighbors that mainly put out the fire in that neighborhood. I heard a lot of the paid speakers that spoke earlier in favor of this areas. One of them that lives as far as Monterrey and Los Angeles Street, he probably doesn't even realize the impact that this housing is going to bring. The cost of rent, we just built a house on 650 Vineland Avenue where my son now lives. His mortgage is $4,500 a month. $4,500, and I'm sure that this rents will equal or be greater than that. Who's going to afford to pay that amount of money? Now, the gentrification is another issue. This company, every time they had meetings, they failed to address the Spanish-speaking communities that are the most impacted. We're a working community. We're a community of color. We're a community where we want to raise our grandchildren. I raised 10 kids. Now I have 14 grandchildren. They are attending, most of them will be attending our local schools. If Bassett closes down, imagine. I know some of you will probably have grandchildren, and probably the younger people will have children. Just imagine the impact it would cause for you to drive away.
Thank you for your
To
time.
other schools. Thank you.
Carmen Peña.
Can everybody hear me? Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Carmen Pina. I live in South Amani. I urge you to deny, continue the Bassett Villas project and require a full environmental impact report. Bassett and the surrounding communities already experience serious park scarcity. Families need safe, nearby places for children to play, older adults to walk, neighbors to gather, and residents to find shade during extreme heat. Florence Flanner is one of the few remaining publicly controlled parcels large enough to support meaningful green space in this part of the San Gabriel Valley. The loss of this opportunity is an environmental justice issue. Communities with less park access often face overlapping burdens, freeways and industrial pollution, heat, limited tree canopy, traffic, and fewer opportunities for outdoor exercise. Converting public land to private residential development without fully analyzing those cumulative conditions would deepen an existing inequity. The question is not only whether the project can mitigate isolated impacts on paper, the question is whether the decision improves persons' environmental conditions residents experience every day. A full EIR should evaluate a genuine park or open space alternative, including communities serving green space, native trees, recreation, environmental education, and stormwater capture. It should also analyze access to existing parks, the distribution of park acreage, heat vulnerability, public health conditions, and whether promised private landscaping would provide anything comparable and publicly accessible land. Private common areas are not substitute for public park. This property will not become available again after a 99-year lease. The commission should not permanently eliminate a rare public opportunity based on the abbreviated environmental document. At minimum, the city must disclose the value of the foregoing public use and consider whether the smallest development
Thank you for your time.
project alternative will better serve the park or
Thank
community.
you for your time.
You're welcome. Please place my comments in the record.
Anaí. Next, we have Anaí.
Good evening, Chair and members and Baldwin Park of the Planning Commission. My name is Anaí. I am a resident of South Amani. I'm speaking tonight regarding the proposal of the Bassett Villas project at the Florence E. Flanner site. I respectfully ask for the commission not to approve the project or adopt a proposal magenta negative declaration tonight. The city should require a full environmental impact report and transparent evaluation of the public serving alternatives of this land. This is not an ordinary private development site. It is approximately 5.22 acres of public-owned school district property. The proposal would place 104 residence units on the property through the 99-year ground lease, lasting nearly a century that would effectively determine and use the public asset for several generations. Once buildings, streets, utilities, and private development rights are established, the community is unlikely to recover this land for park, school programs, environmental education, groundwater recharge, or other public proposal. The performance matters under CEQA. The environmental review should not treat the proposal as simply another housing project while overlooking other loss of public options. A full EIR would allow the city to compare meaningful alternatives, disclose impacts, respond fully to agencies and public comments, and determine whether the lower impact or public serving use is useful. Please pause this project. Reject the magenta negative declaration. Require a full EIR and direct staff to evaluate alternatives that preserve meaningful public
Thank you for
benefit.
your time.
And Florence Flanner, please include my comments in your administration. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we call Miguel Zuniga. Miguel?
Hello, good evening. My name is Miguel and I'm from Bassett. I also attended Bassett High School and I lived in the area my whole life. Over the years, I watched our community grow and I've also seen the traffic get worse. And that's one of the reasons I'm concerned about the proposed development. I've heard this project described as providing affordable housing, but the average cost, which was disclosed at $3,000 a month per unit, I have to ask, is that really affordable for who? Many families in our community are already struggling just to keep up with the cost of housing, and these prices don't reflect what many local residents can realistically afford. I'm also concerned about the community outreach results. We're being told that after 7,000 door knocks, only 8% of residents opposed this project. I find that hard to believe. And I've heard, so I just did a search and there's 20,000 residents in West Puente. So for there to be 7,000 and how many of those were realistically actually spoken to, I don't know how that was obtained, but again, many people are working multiple jobs, raising families, simply trying to make ends meet. They may not even know this project is even happening or understand how it could affect their neighborhood. A lack of opposition shouldn't automatically be taken as support. I love this community, and I don't think this project is the right fit for our area. More homes also means more traffic, more pressure on our roads and services, and changes that could take away from what makes this neighborhood special.
Thank you for your time. Next, we call Jim V. Jim?
In all my born days, I never heard so many trees supporting an axe. Did you ever hear that? God, dog. Don't trust these developers as far as you can throw them. It had to be told to include they had to be told to include a second auto access point, but we know better than that. They had to be told to do that. Come on. Montebello had this same bait and switch pulled on them a few years ago. They were promised over there a project development on Bluff Road. They were promised below market sales. And lo and behold, at the last minute, the developer says, oh no, we can't complete this project unless we do market rate. I'll bet you dollars to donuts, that's in the secret notes, that in a few years, they're gonna say we can't afford to be paying this. We gotta sell these at market rates. Dollars to donuts, folks. Put that down on the my fiance is a special ed teacher. And we were commenting how in the bad old days, special kids were banished to the corner of classrooms and fitted with a dunce cap. We know better now. Now we know that special ed kids need to learn at their own pace. We also know that special ed is multifaceted. It's not just reading, writing, and arithmetic. It encompasses the whole student, including open space. And for the physical well-being of the student is also a part of growing the kids and having them. Boy, that was fast. Don't trust these guys. I don't, and I'm a realtor.
Thank you. Next, we have Melanie. Melanie? Melanie, one more time, that's it? No, no. Alan? Alam? No, it's Alan. No? Okay. Dylan? Dylan? One more time, Dylan? Gabrielle? Gabrielle? It could be Gabriella. It's hard to read the writing. Last name starts with an A. Oh, okay. Can't read the writing.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Gabriella, and I'm a Baldwin Park community member and Bassett resident. I'm speaking today in strong opposition of this project. First, this proposal permanently converts public open space into private development. Once this land is lost, it cannot be undone, further cementing a legacy of environmental injustice in our area. Eliminating public land directly contradicts Baldwin Park's own environmental justice goals. Calling this a community amenity as a, private public park is a facade. There is zero guarantee the developer won't later add fences or restrictive hours to their privately owned public space. This is simply handed over public land under a different name. I grew up playing in the Sunkist and Van Wyck parking lots. I still see that happen in this area. This area is extremely park poor. This project would take that opportunity for a park away forever and increase urban heat island effect, which would increase heat stress and morbidity among our vulnerable populations. As others have pointed out, there are so many other lots we can look at for housing in Bassett and Baldwin Park. But this lot is the last opportunity for recreational space in the area. Second, I'm deeply concerned about the project's immediate proximity to the active child development center. Given the site's history as a former agricultural walnut land, like farming land, construction dust and soil disruption pose serious health risks. The childcare facility's air intake sits just feet from the proposed site. In light of recent soil contamination and toxic dust issues in the surrounding communities, proceeding without a full EIR, environmental impact report, is unacceptable. We do not know what harmful particulates these children and neighbors will be breathing. I ask that you hold the developer accountable and require a full environmental impact report and due diligence to protect our health. Finally, I urge the commission.
Thank you.
There you go. Thank you.
Next, we have Tony Vaughn. Tony?
So as a renter, I just want to make it clear that I'll support a bunch of affordable housing if they're actually affordable in the first place. So I share a lot of the same concerns that a lot of people here that support the project share, in which they say that there's concern about people having to move out because they can't find any other affordable housing in the first place. But I seriously doubt that this project actually gives that affordable housing to the community at all. But that's just my opinion. So let's go through the facts right now. So in the city's housing elements, it says that for the 44% of the cities that are renters, the median income for them is $45,000. And for the entire city itself, the median income would be $66,000. The reason why I brought this up is because the staff report for this project states that 30% of the units will be tailored to people that are making low income metric units. People that would be considered low income, 30% of those units will be tailored for them. But in LA County, a person making $80,000 a year can be considered low income actually. So if you're gonna have a bunch of housing units that are gonna be tailored to units that are considered low income but are actually made for people making $80,000 a year, you're gonna be making housing that's not really affordable for a huge portion of the population in this city that's making $66,000 a year. So what's gonna be happening is that if you build these units, it's possible that there are residents who are not going to be able to stay in this community as originally intended, and actually have to move out and be replaced by people who actually are from other parts of the city that are making a much higher income that can actually afford these units in the first place. So to the people that support this project, talking about affordability, I understand that. But as the real estate agent guy said, I really hope you guys don't be the trees are cheering the axe. Thank you.
Araceli Lopez?
Hola, buenas noches. Yo vengo a apoyar SGV Coalition y vine a apoyar a mis compañeros de Safe Planner. Yo quiero decir mi mensaje en español para que todos entiendan que es importante observar los parques. Yo tengo mi degree en mechanical engineering. Soy ingeniera mecánica. Me recibí de Cal State LA y soy madre soltera. Tengo 6 años que no trabajé. ¿Ok? Tengo 6 años que no trabajé. Y vi a una madre aquí que apoyó este proyecto que estaba enferma, diciendo que estaba buscando hogar. Yo tengo sección 8 y es muy difícil buscar hogar. Este proyecto no va a apoyar a los bajos ingresos de vivienda. No van a apoyar a los que están bajos ingresos. Es bien importante observar los parques. Yo soy entrenadora de parques de LA County. Yo entreno a los niños de básquet, entreno a los niños de béisbol, entreno a los niños de básquetbol. Y es importante observar los parques. Yo prefiero poner un parque para los seniors que ocupan un espacio. O pongan un espacio para los niños, para que vayan a jugar, para que vayan después de escuela, para que vayan y sigan las escuelas abiertas. Es importante observar los parques. Gracias.
I believe that she speaks English, so if she wants to translate in English, she's more than welcome to do so. Yeah, might as well, since
Good evening. My name is Araceli, and I'm here to support SGV Coalition. I have a degree in mechanical engineering. I'm a single mother. I was unemployed for 6 years. It was very difficult for me. You saw a sick mother here today. Okay? Obviously, she needs better housing. This project is not going to support low-income housing. It's important for me, now that I'm employed and my new title is manufacturing engineer technician, it's important for me to fight for the people that are sick. It's important to me to fight for our seniors because one day I'm going to become a senior and I want to fight for my future. So it's important for me to fight for seniors today because they need a space. I'm a coach for LA County Parks. I coach basketball, I coach soccer, and I coach baseball, and I hope to continue coaching other sports. It's important that we keep parks open. I love the development. It's beautiful. But please consider another space. It's very important to say parks because we can bring community together. We need senior spaces. It's hot out there. We need spaces for the kids. It's important to have spaces for women to put their kids, especially when they're unemployed and looking for jobs. It was very difficult for me to find a job when I couldn't find appropriate child care. I support parks. I support the seniors. It's important that we save the parks. Thank you.
Pablo Gomez. Pablo.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Pablo Gomez. I'm a resident of this beautiful city. I'm here today to ask you to reconsider closing our schools. A school is more than just a building. It's where our children learn, grow, and prepare for their future. Every school we close means fewer opportunities for families and sends a message that we're investing less in the next generation. Baldwin Park deserves a strong future, and that future begins with strong schools. I respectfully ask you to explore solutions that strengthen our schools instead of closing them. When we invest in education, we invest in the future of our city. I support students, Bassett Villas Townhomes, and Community Pocket Park. Thank you for your time.
Maria Fernandez.
Muy buenas noches, comisionados y ciudadanos de la comunidad de Baldwin. Mi nombre es María Fernández. Las decisiones que se tomen hoy definirán un Baldwin Park de mañana. Si queremos una comunidad más segura, más preparada y con mayores oportunidades, debemos empezar por proteger la educación de nuestros niños y nuestros jóvenes. Tener, más opciones de vivienda para las familias y contribuir a una mejor economía que se quede aquí en la comunidad. Muchas gracias, comisionados, por darnos la oportunidad de hablar.
Gracias.
I believe this is Arlene. Arlene?
Oh.
Yes.
So good evening. My
Can
name
you
is
give us a
Maria.
second, Arlene? He's going to translate.
Good evening. My name is Maria Fernandez. I am in support of the project. Decisions made today will affect Baldwin Park tomorrow and the community tomorrow. Let's start by protecting our youth and give options for our family and opportunities for our economic prosperity. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I am in support of the project.
Hello, everybody. I wasn't planning on speaking, but anyhow, my name's Arlene Lacha. My parents bought property there when I was 5 years old, and I'm 62 now. I feel that you should reconsider this. I live in the area, literally the street, there's not even room for cars to pass each other. We have to literally pull over, let the other car pass by. There's nothing in that area as far as sports or parks or anything. The only park we have is Little Bassett, which used to be a school too. They closed that. They cut the park in half. There's no parking there. Everybody's for the swap meet. The other park is going into El Monte on Valley and San Angelo. We can't even walk over there. They don't have anything in the community. I used to be women's auxiliary for Shire Park, which was, for the kids in Bassett. They closed that. We had Bassett Boxing Gym. They closed that. There's nothing for the kids. The schools don't care. All the schools are locked up. It looks like jails. There's nowhere for kids to play. They play in the streets. You know how many accidents have been in front of my mom's house? And on top of that, the housing. Okay, you're saying, what? 3,300. Who could afford that? We still have generation after generation living in my mom's home. I live there. My husband lives there. My grandchildren live there. My children live there. Nobody can afford. Who's gonna 2 or 3 different households in that one area? There's no, and who could afford to move out? And like they said, the kids go to other area schools because what is it, gang infested? There's nothing for the kids, build them, give them space, build community centers. We don't even have that. You either have to come to Baldwin Park or La Puente. Then you have the kids that are afraid to go because they label them as gang members because of the way they dress or they look. You need to think about the future. What about these kids? There's
Thank
so
you.
much violence out there.
Thank you. Next, we have Sylvia.
Sí, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Silvia Cos. Yo estoy aquí cediendo mi lugar a Ana María porque nos sentimos muy insultados ya que nos están llamando, nos están diciendo que estamos siendo pagados. Eso es completamente mentira y por eso le cedo mi lugar a Ana María. Gracias.
Sí, vuelvo a repetir mi nombre. Me llamo Ana María.
Con permiso, no se puede dar tu tiempo.
Bueno, entonces hago una moción de orden. La puedo decir. Es una moción.
No.
They can't. No.
Oh, sorry. No podemos hacer eso.
No, bueno. Se queden en incógnito entonces. No.
So I will translate what Sylvia did say. She said, good evening, that those people in support of the project are insulted by the people opposed to the project, saying that they are being paid to support the project. So that is a lie, and they are insulted by those statements.
Next, we're gonna let the Zoom speaker, Lucia.
Hello.
Hello, we could hear you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Before I get my speech, I just have to say, one, you guys should have an interpreter. Family members should not be interpreting, and you should not be interpreting. Two, that is not a park that they showed up on the screen. That's a little postage stamp, just for somebody to sit there. There's no apparatus for the kids to play on. There's no walk around for people to exercise there. There's nothing there. That is not a park. They're lying to you. Also, rent, $3,000. That's crazy. What you want to do is be able to purchase a home to pass it to your family members. That's called generational wealth. You're not building generational wealth. As soon as you can't afford the rent, which most people can't afford it anyway, boom, they kick you out and get somebody else in there. That is not appropriate. Okay, and I'll start my speech. I know I'm not going to have enough time, but I want you to think about this. I'm speaking out about the Flanner School, and as a community activist, I support keeping it open for the community use. You need to involve the entire school community and repurposing the process that ensures everybody's taken into account. By engaging students, educators, and administrators in the conversation, it's possible to create a unique environment that meets everyone's needs. For example, giving a student the chance to share their vision of how the space can be used allows them to take ownership of their learning experience. Administrators may also have valuable insight. You can transfer empty classrooms into interactive group learning centers to repurposing science labs as robotic workshops. There are many creative ways to utilize existing structures and resources to create unique and inspiring classes. There's two, I only have 10 seconds. I would beg you to look at New York schoolyards to playground, an example, and also in Pennsylvania, it's called Community Forge. Please look at those before you consider it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next, I'm going to let Esther talk. Esther? Hello, Esther?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Esther. I have heard many of the participants talk about their thoughts, and I'm really, really impressed in a way, and in other side, I'm very, very sad. This community, as far as I understand, they need a park. They need a space for the seniors, for the children, and for the youth. They don't need these villas because they are expensive for the community. I know the community, and the people will maybe just bring many other families into one villa, and they will have many problems, and maybe they will leave those villas, and then maybe another family will go there. So just please reconsider all the people that talk. Right now it's a little late. Don't make a decision tonight, please. And get a full environment report. This is very, very important because of the traffic, because of the gases, and especially reconsider the request so that the people can really have a good environment for everybody that will live in the area. Also the low-income people that need lower rent, but not this high rent. The situation right now is not affordable, and we cannot pay more than maybe $1,500. So please reconsider. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'm asking you respectfully to think about it and go in person and talk to people around. Thank you so much. Thank you again.
Next, we're going to allow Renee. Renee? Renee? Renee, you could speak now.
Hello?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, my name is Rene Jimenez, and I respectfully request that the Planning Commission decline the Bassett Villas project and instead require preparation of a full EIR. There are many reasons to conduct a full EIR on this project, and the people have already spoken about this earlier, so please listen to them. There should be no rush, and their concerns over traffic, emergency preparedness, and soil and water conditions are valid. First of all, I'm in full support of education, but the sale of Florence and Flanner is not going to solve the declining ADA and unfortunate reputation that BOSD has inherited from poor leadership and lack of transparency. I hate to say it. But I am glad that the applicant stated how much they were acquiring the property for. Oh wait, they didn't. Why the lack of transparency? Once again, what's the rush and with no price tag? These questions are a cause of concern. Another cause of concern is there's stupendous results from the community engagement efforts over the last 2 years. That data presented today is skewed or at best inaccurate. Lastly, I'd like to mention that the sale of public land is short-sighted. To say that the applicant is working on this to support Bassett Unified School District or to support education is a farce. They are profit-driven, plain and simple. Once we lose this land to private development, it's gone. And in a way, it's a blessing that this land is under multi-jurisdictions of Bassett Unified School District and the great city of Baldwin Park. You, the Planning Commission, and the City Council have a chance to right this wrong. So please, what is the rush? Thank you.
Thank you. That's the last person we had on Zoom.
Thank you. Okay. So I would like to give, just check in, make sure that everybody's had the opportunity to speak on or against this project. Seeing no further interest in public testimony, I'm now going to close out public comment. At this time, the commission is going to begin discussion of this item before I ask for a motion. If I can kick it off, I have some questions for staff. Some of the things that I heard multiple times, there's a child center still on the property or adjacent to the, sorry, there's a child center on the property or adjacent to the property. Do we know how that how the child center is going to be impacted?
So there is an existing operation still there, and takes place in the buildings portion of the lot. Those buildings will remain. It's my understanding all the existing uses will remain. That's what's being conveyed to me. The school district is here as well. I'm sure they could provide more clarity about operations.
And then I have one more question. I'm not sure if to ask you. May I ask the applicant a question? Okay. My question is, somebody brought it up about we're talking about low, some of the units are going to be reserved for low income families. I'm not sure if we designated what rate of the area median income has that's been designated for families below 30%, 50% of the area median income?
No, all units are market rate, so I'm not sure where they're getting that
Okay.
information from.
Thank you.
Because there's no public funding.
Thank you. Those are my questions.
Nick, I just wanted to clarify, the reason we're here is requires the general plan amendment, zone change, zone variance, design review, and administrative adjustment. We're not here to figure out what is the best use of the land. It is not our place. It is the place of the applicant to submit based on our zoning requirements to see if they conform with that criteria.
That's accurate.
Okay, just want to make sure.
I guess my concern is just the fact that we're allowing them to slash the codes requirement for the open space to more than 52%. That's a precedent that we're going to set, and something that I think, is important to think about.
So in regards to that, Once again, I asked the applicant to see why there was a 60 versus 100, right? We're already slashing at 50% and 10 of these are already substandard. So would it be safe to say, Nick, that we are trying to find a resolution on how to make that compliant if we were to approve it or deny it?
I'm sorry, can you restate?
Got it. I'm trying to figure out, once again, based on the minimum private open space, we are seeking a variance. If we discuss the potential options, how does that impact our yes or no for the project? Does it become an internal discussion? Does it go on to a different discussion? Or is today absolute?
So the planning commission has options and you can discuss this in your deliberation about you can vote as you like. You can, and one of those options would be to approve the resolution as it's written, plus, of course, plus the additional condition that I mentioned already. Or you can oppose. Those are clear, those are options. But there's also choices in the middle. You can condition the project. That's also very typical. Potentially you could send it back to the applicant for adjustments, and you can gauge their receptiveness to that.
Thank you. I guess based on that answer, the only thing I would bring up, as we've discussed before, is the private open space being under. I think if that were to become a part of compliance or conditions of approval, that they change that in order to meet the minimum. I think that is my only comment for the project.
Another clarifying or question of curiosity. Is there precedent for us approving the variance in the open space?
Yep. There hasn't been an application or request or I've been an inquiry on that matter in my time here. I've been here for 3 years, perhaps before I've started, perhaps, but not that I'm aware.
So the positive, should the commission vote for it, is we have RENA numbers that will be increased or at least met. 2.3 million of development fees, tax revenue. I think that's more aligned with the Measure BP. So of course we can leverage that sales tax. I know it's gotten to support a lot of city initiatives, including for our police officers here, new brand new radios, etc., for public safety in mind. So I can certainly see that perspective. And then as well as just sort of the school district also benefiting. I know it wasn't able to quantify, there's a lot of dependencies, but that is kind of the plus side of it. On the other hand, when we look at kind of when we look at the variance, I know that 3 conditions have to be met. So I want to confirm that's not one condition, it's all 3, correct? So the first one is there has to be special circumstances to exist that warrant the exception. I know that the argument that was made here was because of the balconies. So if they're removing the balcony space on the top, of course, people on the balcony aren't looking at the neighbors down. So I can see a privacy perspective from that. I see that you also have a strict application. The second condition, the strict application of development standard deprives privileges enjoyed by other similar properties in the area. Sure, but the one that I do feel very, very uncomfortable with is the third one. So it is granting the variance doesn't constitute a special privilege. So when we are looking at it at the perspective of the minimum requirement of 200 square feet of open space per unit, again, we're looking at through that lens, according to our attorney. We, of course, as all of you or some of you have brought up, is that we are slashing 50%-ish. That is very, very scary. I think really great question about setting precedent. it does feel, and when I looked at either on page 6 and 7, and also within the resolution, I didn't see a really good reason for how this is not a privilege for the applicant. I know that the applicant had mentioned something along the lines of, well, there is, a pocket park, there is open space. Yes, that's great, but it's not necessarily an alternative. It is both have to be met of the open space, but also, the public common space, but also their own open private space as well. And then certainly when I had asked the applicant as well is, well, why can't we meet, or why can't they meet the condition of the square feet? One of the reasons that I had heard was because there is opportunity for revenue for the school district. And of course, that school district will trickle down to ideally just to the students, staff, administration, and of course the faculty. So I heard more of a revenue answer versus not any of the conditions for the variance. So certainly see a lot of really positive things. I know that a lot of folks have talked about let's make Institute Park. Commissioner Arias brought up a really good point. There's nothing that we can do on that. It's just based off of whoever owns the land. And of course, initiative provides initiative, but from my planning commission what we were appointed is, does it meet all of the requirements? And so far, I see it doesn't meet the at least all 3 conditions of the variance. So certainly open to continuing deliberation, but this is where I stand based off of what I've heard. But more importantly, or I should say equally important, of what is being on the staff report and the resolution.
Laura, I'm looking at my notes and I actually had almost exactly what you said. I said, in my notes, I have, granting it just because the developer chose a tight layout does set a dangerous precedent and violates a strict code, granting special privileges. So that was where my one stickler was, my one point was regarding the variance, the unlawful variance.
So
So I agree with you.
Nick, a question for you would be, seeing that most of the comments we have seem to fall under set, what is our directive in the essence of, do we ask the applicant to reduce, or that is their justification based on our answer?
Are you asking, when you say reduce, did you mean units? So
Units
what did you
in
mean?
order to comply the private open space minimum.
You could call them up and gauge their interest in redesigning the project to gauge units.
Got it. So it is under our discretion to say, hey, reduce X, or hey, come up with the compliance, leave it up to them.
So I would advise that you could gauge their interest in doing that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'd like to speak to the applicant. Storm Properties. The biggest thing we're trying to analyze right here is the variance of the private of the open space. The biggest thing being one, we're slashing it 50%, and the other, there's 10 units that are substandard to that 50%. Are you willing to compromise in order to meet that minimum, whether it's removing of units, whether it's a number, or just to meet the minimum, what you are trying to get, which is 100 square feet of private space? Because let's be honest, by the numbers, you're looking like reducing 4 units.
Right, so I think we would be willing to work. So I think if that condition is put on us, like Nick said, that we got to work on the private open space, we can try to work to put, the way to get more private open space is to put patios on each of these units, and then that gives them a private open space. So we
Or
can
reduce the unit.
I'm sorry?
Or reduce the unit.
Right, I think the goal over there is to help the school district, right? I think the funding over there. So for us, we can put more patios. I mean, if the commission is willing to allow certain number other than 100% to have a little bit of variance, that would be helpful from that perspective. Otherwise, We would rather put patios on all of the units, and that way we can achieve the goal of receiving the target.
Got it. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Um, is there a motion on this project at this time?
Make a motion to vote against the resolution.
I'll second.
Nick, just for clarification, if we are voting to deny, then a yay vote is to deny and a nay vote is an opposition of denial.
Yeah, that's correct.
So
Before you go, so in connection with the motion,
Yes.
I know some of the articulation, the findings is regarding the variance, but also as to findings as to the other aspects of it regarding the general plan and the zoning code. So that's passed on and council is aware of the findings that you're making and the decision for the denial.
That is correct. Yeah.
Right. So I'm
Sure.
asking you to.
Do I do?
Yes, please.
I think she's asking that in part of you making the motion, you itemize the reasons for making the motion.
Yeah, so I feel like there has to be much more investigation on the environmental component. So we're looking at the adoption of the MDMD. Certainly, I'm not sure we have enough information. There is the EIR that was certainly talked about. So that is one component of it. I think the variance speaks for itself. And then as far as the, forgive me, excuse me.
The building length.
And that was referring to the administrative
60
adjustment, right, regarding the monolith. So let me take a step back. So I am not hearing anything from the applicant as far as, Gus, would you like to speak? Sure, open to you. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yes, please come up.
Sure. So with regards to the EIR, we can bring our consultant with Rincon. They're specialized in this area. So we have a slide. We can in a backup material. We can go to slide 23, please. And then let me have Suzanne. She's with Rincon and she can kind of help you explain the process of EIR and M&D.
Good evening. My name is Suzanne Huerta. I'm with Rincon Consultants. We prepared the M&D for this project. So the process for an M&D, well, for the CEQA process, we look at 20 issue areas. And out of that 20 issue areas, we look to see if there's any potential for a significant impact. And based on all of our expert technical studies, we found that there were potential impacts related to construction. So there are multiple mitigation measures that are included to address those construction impacts. When it comes to operation, we didn't find any potential for significant impacts. So based on that and that study, there was no justification to take it to an EIR level.
Sure. Can you remind me, it's a loaded question, but it's still very important for everybody. You are hired by the developer, but that list is coming from the city of Baldwin Park, is that right?
Right.
So impartial fiduciary responsibility.
Right. So ultimately the document is the city's document. So the city reviewed the document. We went back and forth on their review, between their review and our reviews. And again, ultimately, it's the city's document.
The city's document. So can you, again, I heard a lot from from the speakers, and again, a lot of them encourage that there needed to have a full, complete EIR.
Mhm.
So can you just remind me one more time why that didn't occur?
Yeah, so when we look at when we do our analysis, we look at all 20 issue areas, and if there is a potential for a significant impact, we would then evaluate, do the evaluation, see if there's any actual significant unavoidable impact based on the thresholds provided under the CEQA guidelines. We found, based on all of our studies, there's 11 technical studies as part of our appendices. Based on those analyses, we did not find any significant and unavoidable impacts. So that allows us to do a mitigated negative declaration, because we're essentially saying that there's no significant impact that could not be mitigated. So we have this list of mitigation measures for multiple issue areas, including air quality, biological resources, cultural resources, paleontological resources. So all of these issues that we found that there was a potential for impact, we were able to use mitigation measures to decrease the impact to a level of less than significant.
Sure. So what would be the benefit of having an EIR then? I know that it didn't meet the threshold, but
Right.
what would be
So the main difference, two main differences would be that we would include an alternatives analysis. So basically looking at what would be, different, whether it's a reduced project, whether it's a public park, we would look at the impacts in comparison to the proposed project. And then it's also a 45-day public review period in comparison to the 30-day public review period under the mitigated negative declaration.
Sure. So going back just to the alternative projects, that you have other options as well, but is that still trying to figure out how to best ask this question? Is it just telling the planning commission? Is it telling the applicant about those options and you can pursue this, or this is just,
It's for the decision makers. It's for you to have a wider range of what are the options, what are the other options for the site that makes sense under the current zoning, and also, a lot of times the alternatives are used to specifically to try to mitigate a significant impact. In this case, there are no significant and unavoidable impacts, so there wouldn't be an alternative that was geared towards specifically addressing, a significant unavoidable impact. Again, that's usually the reason why we have an alternatives analysis, is because there is something significant and unavoidable that we need to try to figure out what kind of alternative would then address that impact.
So,
thank you. Please feel free to
I
elaborate.
think what the process is, like she said, we look at 20, you see all the 20 we looked at. The mitigation measures we have are like 4 or 5. And the mitigation measures we have, which is very typical on all the project. One is during construction for air quality. So we have to use the Tier 4 equipment that everybody uses. So you can't use one of the older trucks for grading. So all of us use the new truck. So that's
Sure.
one of the mitigation measures. The other mitigation measure is tribal monitoring, as well as paleontology monitoring. Those are pretty standard. So I think typically we go to EIR if you have a significant impact that cannot be mitigated. So none of the others, the traffic, the environment, the biological, none of the others created any significant impact that needed to be mitigated. And the typical mitigations you see, mostly all projects have it, because every project we're doing right now, we use Tier 4 equipment. We have a paleontologist, we have an archaeologist, if it's been site that has been undisturbed. So those are basically our mitigation measures. So I wanted to make sure that the clarity between EIR and M&D, like I said, you don't decide which paths to go. The path tells you, do I need to continue forward or not? And in our case, because there was no impact in all the other technical reports, we didn't need to continue forward.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. And I would just point out for this, one second. I would point out for the staff is that I knew that when the staff report was completed, there was just a link to the report. Would have wished it would have been part of the entire packet. So I know that you have a comment, Director of Community Development.
Thank you, Planning Commissioner. I wanted to give you a little bit oversight with regards to the environmental aspect of it. So every project that comes before the Planning Commission and come before the Planning Department goes through a series of scrutiny with regard to CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act. The different tier that you're referring to, whether it's an MND, a mitigated neg deck, or an EIR. The EIR is the highest environmental review within CEQA itself, which what the consultant shared was you have different tier, different alternative, or what have you. When a project has minimal impacts, that could be mitigated within validity of the study for all the different components that's outlined in the environmental impact report, or in this case in CEQA. If it could be mitigated to less than a significant impact and it's warranted for a mitigated neg deck, basically the minor impact could be mitigated to less than significant. If it cannot, that's when it reaches a level of EIR, and EIR is the very final and last top tier level. I also want to share with the Commission that for this project specifically, based on the magnitude of environmental concern and the general overview and the complication of the project, the environmental consultant was hired upon an approved city vendor list. It also, which is paid for by the developer. Also, they are required, the city obtained a separate environmental consultant company to conduct a peer review of that environmental study to make sure that it's warranted, to make sure that the information is correct and accurate, and to make sure that it is truly mitigated to less than significant impact. With that said, I want to provide some options because I know that the Commission is kind of debating what type of option or action that's going to be taken. Right now before you, you have a report and a resolution of approval. There's no resolution of denial based on what's before you tonight. You as a commissioner, you have the option to request whatever directive for the developer to revise, to modify, to address the big concern that you have right now, which is the open space, whether it's common or private open space. And you want the developer to bring that as close as possible to compliance as possible. And of course, you are aware that in September, there's going to be revised legislation that will reduce the open space requirement as well. If the Planning Commission opted to, so the Planning Commission, one option is to continue the item in order for the developer to address the concerns that a commission have with regards to the open space and how to address those or how to minimize those or how to increase those. That's within your purview. So a continuation with direction is one option. The other option, if you choose to not opt to approve what's before you tonight, which is a resolution of approval, the Commission has the ability to direct staff to bring back a resolution of denial based on the findings set forth within the finding requirement for each component of the environmental study, the variances, and anything else that comes along with that. And staff would draft a resolution of denial before the Planning Commission, along with what's already in place, the resolution of approval. And during that meeting, the Planning Commission can choose to approve or deny based on both resolutions provided before you. And then from there, whatever decision that's made, approval or denial, the applicant has the ability to move forward with the project before the city council, or assuming if the planning commission deny, has the ability within their due process to appeal the planning commission decision before the city council. So those are the different options that you have that I wanted to share with the commission, what direction you choose to have, and staff is here to provide whatever guidance possible in addition to our legal counsel.
Nick, if I may ask a question, hypothetically, if we approved this project with a condition of keeping to the 200 square feet of open space per unit, can the applicant come back in September and say, hey, the law's changed and I would like to take it to the original 100?
I think my answer would go back to what kind of refer back to what the city attorney said earlier today, which is we have to act, and you have to decide on what the law is right now that's in front of you. So your action today is on what the law is today. You have and then if this gets continued to September, or come September, if the decision comes then things are expected to change.
Well, and the reason that I ask is we don't have precedent on exact comparisons to this case, but I was processing about how we've been doing this for 5 years. I can think of other cases in which the applicant asked for one thing and very similarly things were going to change in the very near future. And as a group, we kind of just discussed amongst ourselves and determined that making them come back over and over and over again was just making them do double the work, making them continue to pay city application and permit fees. So in those instances, we did approve I'm going to call it a variance, but it compares to this, but we did approve that variance. So I just want to share that that's the root of my question. Yes.
It's emotional.
So I'd like to clarify one little thing. The director had said, if the majority of the commission decides to deny the project flat out deny the project and wants the resolution to deny come back, then I think what we do is we bring back the denial resolution and put it on consent. So there's no further, it's done. And it's moved forward then to council. So then they would have that denial. Okay, so I just want to make it a little bit cleaner, simpler, easier. If we just at that point, if that's the direction, do a denial resolution with the findings, come back, we put it on consent and go from there.
And so at that point, it would just go straight to city council.
It would be on consent. And so at that point, would it go straight to council, Nick, or would it be appealed? Have to be appealed?
What we would come back to, so if I'm understanding correctly, it'd come back to the planning commission on consent, and then that consent item would be approved, and then that action would be appealable.
Sure. So the other point I'll bring up, and now we'll move on just to sort of the general plan, moving it from to this type of R3 is I again, this goes back just to the EIR or lack of EIR because the conditions weren't met, or at least that threshold is we look at it won't affect the surrounding areas. I do hear a lot of folks talking about that. I know, again, apples to oranges. We just had a fire in Barnes. Was it in Baldwin Park this past weekend? I don't want to use the density word, but a lot of units packed together. So there is there's the methodology there is the peer reviewed aspect of it, but then there's also kind of my own as a resident as well, living at an HOA, also driving by the site almost every other day, that are, when I look at, it's not affecting, I would be curious to see what those minimum standards are. And again, there's the reports, but then there's also just the residential or the resident citizen aspect of it when I look at it. So just wanted to put that out there as just kind of where I'm at. And sometimes it's a little difficult to articulate, or feelings are hard to articulate.
What would be the process for continuation with directions? Do we have to come up with a list of what those directions are? Or at this point, it's just approve or deny, and that deny becomes a consent for the next one?
I guess to inform that it's approve or deny, but the deny requires clarity from the planning commission. Clarity to staff to let staff know on which criteria the denial is based. So that way staff knows how to write the resolution when we come back.
Also, for a little bit of clarity with regards to the continuous question that you ask, you could take the direction to continue the item with direction to the applicant. Whether how they're going to revise a plan to gain the open space requirement to comply with the code, that's within their purview to either reduce the unit, to modify the unit, to adjust for balconies or patios or what have you. That's within their purview to figure out. That could come back. If that option, if the commission were to entertain that option, then staff would advise the commission to reopen the public hearing in order to minimize additional notification publication requirement, but also give an opportunity for those revisions to be presented and shared and vetted at the commission level. That's the option of continuance. You have the ability to provide direction to the applicant, and it may or may not happen. I'm assuming the project this magnitude, it would probably not be possible for them to make those changes or revision and vet those issues within the month period. And what we'll do is we'll work with the applicant, and probably we'll have to renotice the public hearing to date certain in order for the meeting to happen, in order for the public to have the ability in terms of transparency and whatever that's need to be done. And it's just a revision of plans, but that doesn't really necessitate. They may be required to change environmental doc based on whatever adjustment. If there's no unit adjustment, then it's really not that much of an impact with regards to the environmental impact report or the mitigated neg deck in this case. They just adjust design and square footage aspect. It could reduce the square footage of their units in order to gain more patio and open space requirement. That's an option as well.
I'd like to add one other option available. I know you've got a couple options on the table for you, but there is another option with continuance too. The planning commission would also have the opportunity to continue the item to September when the facts have changed, the laws have changed. And the variance would no longer, even as currently designed, it would no longer be there. There still would be admin adjustment for the 400 square feet still would remain, but that is an option for you as well.
I would like to. So I would like to make a motion at this.
Excuse me, Chair. There was a motion already.
It's a substitute motion. Sorry, the first motion did not get a second. So we're substituting. Oh, you did second.
Right, but you
Okay.
can still make a substitute motion.
So I am making a substitute motion at this time. I'm going to make a substitute motion to continue this item to September. Do I have a second?
I second.
Can I please?
Can
get-
we open up to deliberation? Is this? So it's 10:31, but it's, can we elaborate on just moving it to September? Is that just based off of the variance?
It sounds like the variance is the biggest concern that I'm hearing.
Sorry. So I think what we're looking for is minimum code compliance.
Yes. I think we're trying to find the balance between what the applicant is trying to do, what the laws are at the moment, about to change in 2.5 months. At the very minimum, as Commissioner Arias shared, some co-compliance, some collaboration with the applicant.
I want to make a clarification. So your motion for continuance to, we're going to pick a date certain in September, is to do a final consideration on the item based on the new variance requirements or lack thereof?
Correct. I also think it gives us the opportunity to add the conditional inclusion of making that pocket park available to the public for the entire term of the lease.
Well, if we wanted to go that route, so for the public park, I think when we had the public park, public pocket park that we had in Baldwin Park, I know that there are a lot more requirements for it. Certainly, what time is it going to be open? What time is it going to be closed?
Yeah.
So if the commission would go that route, I would also like to see more specifics on that. Should that, the commission would vote for it at the end.
Well, and we can add that as the instruction, right?
Is
in the
that-
continuance?
Is that today or for September, we would revisit that?
So you would give, in connection with the motion, if that's what I'm hearing, that would be the instruction that you would also be giving, which is, I want it brought back in September, and this is what I want to also,
Sure.
we want to see when it's brought back. So it would be, once again, opened
I'll-
for a public hearing
Sure,
and
and
would go forward.
So we can either do that today, but we could also do that in September. Is that?
Sure, if
Okay.
you want to, if it's brought back and you want to then add the conditions,
Mhm.
then I suggest you add them or give some sort of instruction now, so you don't have to go through that then, and it's already
Sure.
in there and everybody knows what you're going to be requiring and it's put out to the public. So that would be my suggestion. You don't have to do that.
Yeah, the key goal is to provide clarity, not
Sure.
just to the developer,
Yeah.
but for the commission to digest the actual condition that you're requesting for to be incorporated in the resolution that you're going to be considering.
Sure. So the other question I would ask to the commission, so certainly we've talked about the variance, putting my fortune teller hat on, can see how that would look like in September. But when we look at the general plan and zone change, you know, I keep wanting just to revisit the sentence about how the amendment will not adversely affect the surrounding properties. And I think that's what would keep me up at night. What would keep me up at night. So happy to, you know, entertain just, you know, the variance in September. I can see the plus side is that I know that we only got this maybe an hour before the commission, so to be transparent, didn't go through each one. But I would still let everyone know that I do feel that there is an adverse effect to the surrounding properties. So that is where I'm at.
And I just want to mention, if I don't know if the other commissions are just concerned with the 6 units, which are over the maximum permitted proposed length. Is that an issue?
And this is for the, sorry, and this is for the monolith thing that we keep talking about, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the other thing that kind of stands out to me is the 35 guest parking permits, parking spaces. I know with 104 units, 35 guest parking spots. I mean, that to me just doesn't sound logical.
And
I don't know if that is something that we can find under a finding, but again, we've talked about traffic and the impact that it's going to have. It doesn't make sense. And I keep hearing that, you know, we asked if they wanted to reduce the number of units. It's no. I asked them regarding the Assembly Bill 2295, and it was no, because they want market value. So I just keep seeing dollar signs, dollar signs, dollar signs. And I really think we need to look at the whole, look at the community, and look at everything before a decision is made.
I do have a clarifying question because early on, and please correct me if I got the number wrong, but early on in the presentation from staff, they mentioned 243 parking spaces. Is that inclusive of the 35, or does the 35 bring us closer to 300 parking spaces?
Just get 2 spaces.
Sorry, the 243 includes all parking.
Okay, thank you.
It's 2 spaces per unit, correct?
Right, it's 2 spaces per unit. So each unit will have its own garage parking spaces, and then there's additional guest parking spaces,
Okay.
which is a fraction per unit.
Okay.
So I think there was another really good point made about sort of multi-generational households. So when we look at kind of the guest parking, I don't anticipate it for people visiting the folks living there or the residents. I would imagine it would be more for residents of the actual who are living. And we'd be curious, you know, I know we're in this spot right now, but the other component too is that, you know, there's a report, the traffic study, et cetera. But did it take into consideration that, again, we might have multi-generational households? Again, I don't want to use the word density too much, but will there be a lot of folks living there and, you know, impacting traffic even more?
In addition to that, Commissioner Pena is also, I've always been consistent on setting precedents.
Yes.
We might have similar projects coming down the pipeline in our neighborhoods in a couple of years. If we set the precedents with this, what happens with that? So we got to be very aware of the decision that we're making, that it's going to impact somebody.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I'm going to quote Gladiator, but I'll say that for later. I'm sorry, I was just nodding to somebody.
I have one question. In terms of the residents that will be living here, who will be servicing them? Like, so if they need, would it be unincorporated? Would it be county? Or would it be city? And if,
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of your
the
question.
residents that will be living here, if they need services like police services, would it be county or would it be city?
Because they're in the city of Baldwin Park,
It would be
so
city.
it'd be the city.
So then that's another thing. I just keep thinking of taxes and stuff. And so, so in terms of services, city of and I keep thinking of, I know Bassett's going to be the one that's going to get the financial gain from it, but Baldwin Park is essentially going to be having to provide the services for the residents. Correct.
There's a
So we
property
will receive it from, okay, so it'll offset it with, okay, thank you.
Nick, if I'm requesting a continuance in September, what are the available dates?
Just a minute. The choices are September 9th and 23rd.
Do we have anything on the agenda for the 9th?
No.
Okay. Okay, so my substitute motion to continue this item to September 9th, to reopen the public hearing on September 9th and continue. My substitute motion to continue public hearing and continue the item to September 9th with the instruction to the applicant of codifying, formalizing the conditional inclusion of approval regarding the availability of the pocket park by the applicant for the term of the lease and providing us with specific details around park hours and usage of the public park. Still stands. Do I have a motion?
I second it.
So I'm gonna just one clarifying for clerk's office. She's basically make motion to reopen the public hearing and continue it.
Yes. Yes. So the public will have a second opportunity to come and share their thoughts. Can I get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Rodriguez,
No.
Commissioner Arias, if possible, Assistant City Attorney, would you be able to repeat the motion?
Oh, the motion is to open the public hearing, continue this matter to September 9th, to come back with the park issues, making sure it's in the conditions of approval, that the park is a public park and that there's hours, terms, et cetera, as for the operation of that park.
Yes.
Get it right, Madam Chair? Okay.
I thought, what was your vote, Commissioner Arias? Thank you.
Commissioner Pena,
No.
Vice Chair Miranda De Zip,
No.
and Chair Scaposa.
Yes.
So motion does not pass.
So we go back to the original motion.
And that was a motion to deny the item as presented to us. Okay, so I'm going to ask for roll call, but as a reminder, we're going back to the original motion, which is to deny. So a yay vote is supporting the denial, and a no vote would be not supporting the denial.
Before we go, denial and come back with the reso on consent with the findings. So
Translate that for layman.
so that we have you've articulated findings and we have that on the record. So the motion is you're denying it and directing staff to come back with a denial resolution that will be on consent for consideration at one of the next meetings.
Yes.
And before we vote, I would appreciate clarification on which findings the denial is based on.
Sure. So the one that I strongly feel of concern is certainly the variance. The variance, that's the biggest one. But then the second one that it is of concern is for the general plan amendment and the zone change. So when we look at the amendment, will not be adversely affecting the surrounding properties. Talk a little bit about odor, severe adverse impacts, noise. Not too sure about the odor, but I can look at more about just sort of the noise impacts than perhaps even just the traffic as well. Talk about multi-generational households, et cetera. There is going to be a traffic traffic light. So that is my reasoning.
Thank you. Are we ready for a roll call then?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Rodriguez,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Commissioner Peña,
Yes.
Vice Chair Miranda de Zip,
Yes.
and Chair Escobosa.
No.
Motion carries.
So the Planning Commission has voted to deny Resolution PC 2607, recommending that the City Council approve the project for the construction of a 104 townhome apartment unit, which requires general plan amendment to change the land use designation from open space to residential, a zone change to change the zoning from the open space to high-density residential, a zone variance to allow reduced amount of private open space, an administrative adjustment to allow for a minor deviation from the building length standards, and a design review application. I do want to point out to the applicant that there is a 10-day period to appeal this item to City Council. Okay.
Apologies if I may provide some clarification. As of now, the item is not denied. The direction is to bring back the resolution denial. That action will be taken at the next Planning Commission hearing. From that date and that hearing time, the applicant will have the appeal period due process to appeal the Planning Commission decision application. So there's no official, for the public and for the audience, there's no official denial at this point. The direction was to direct staff to bring back a resolution of denial before the Planning Commission consent calendar item for the action to be formally taken.
Thank you for that. So moving right along in our agenda, we are going to now move to reports of officers.
Thank you. The only report that I have is that it's about time to reorganize the Planning Commission. So at the next Planning Commission meeting, we'll have that a conversation and we'll reorganize, we'll take votes and reorganize the Planning Commission.
Okay. All right.
Madam Chair, I just want to clarify, that was under communication of staff and not reports of officers, right? Correct?
I asked for reports of officers.
It's not listed on the agenda, so it would be under communication, staff communication. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I misspoke. Thank you. Okay. So at this time, we are going to adjourn. It is 10:49 p.m. Thank you.
Wow.